You are watching the American Athletic Conference on ESPN. I'm Janine Edwards, and welcome back to Croke Park here in Dublin, Ireland, where tens of thousands of Penn State and UCF fans have ventured across the pond for this game. They simply had to pack a suitcase. How would you like to be the guys responsible for packing an entire football team and its 15,000 pounds of equipment? Well, that's just what the Penn State and UCF operations and equipment staffs have been working on for the last 6 months. Getting hundreds of passports for everyone, that was a chore in and of itself. But packing hundreds of trunks, every single item, everything from game clocks to pencils to socks, even replacement screws for the helmets had to be listed, weighed, and valued for customs. And it all had to be itemized on this. It's called a carnet, a passport, if you will, for cargo. And each team has about 9,000 things on their carnets. So hopefully those behind-the-scenes guys get a hefty bonus after this game. Well, the fans are here, the equipment is here, and when we come back, the teams will take to the field and all eyes will be on this guy, Christian Hackenberg.
The 2014 Croke Park Classic is brought to you by Penn State World Campus, Dick's Sporting Goods. Visit ESPN Fan Shop powered by Dick's Sporting Goods for your officially licensed fan gear. And Kingsford Charcoal. Slow down and grill.
Welcome back to Croke Park in beautiful Dublin, Ireland. That is the River Liffey. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem and the Irish national anthem from the Dublin Gospel Choir.
Twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night, and our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the Irish color guard parades the colors, the singing of the Irish national anthem.
At Offria Legeren,
Hey fans, one more time for the Dublin Gospel Choir, and how about those two F-16 Fighting Falcons, first class, right here at Croke Park.
Welcome back to our
Nice
coverage
job, fans.
of the Croke Park Classic from Dublin, Ireland. Good morning, everybody. Mike Patrick, Ed Cunningham. It's great to have you with us. Going back to last year for Penn State, in spite of the fact that they couldn't go to a bowl game and they were operating under these sanctions that were laid on them a couple of years ago, they fought hard all year long, and they really earned a winning record.
Go all the way back to 2012 and how hard this team has fought after the disastrous end of the Joe Paterno era. Bill O'Brien came in and just did a terrific job in his 2 years. Last year, the big win, the defining moment for Christian Hackenberg in his true freshman season was against Michigan. Michigan undefeated, primetime game, 4 touchdowns for Hackenberg in that ball game. Then they run into the buzzsaw of Ohio State. Wheels came off a bit for Penn State. They got a loss late in the year against Nebraska in overtime, but then Hackenberg on the road against Wisconsin, last game of the season. Season high 4 touchdown throws, including this long one to Adam Brenneman. And we saw, Mike, a guy from the first game that we saw against Syracuse to that last game in Hackenberg who just blew the doors off of expectations.
And here come the Nittany Lions in front of this crowd at Croke Park. But for them this year, Ed, it is another year of transition. Another new coaching staff, the third in 4 years, and another new system to learn.
And they've got James Franklin coming in, who is a Pennsylvania native,
Right.
and he takes over for Bill O'Brien, who left to the NFL, in a spot that everyone thought would be disastrous, but it's not. O'Brien and his staff did a great job keeping this together. And Franklin, a guy who had unprecedented success at Vanderbilt, comes in.
Sure did.
High energy. He said that the team had a little bit of cohesiveness. They had to break through. They had to get through. All of that energy, all of that success at Vanderbilt, they break through. And it helps to have Christian Hackenberg back at quarterback when you take over a position.
Well, UCF was certainly last year's Cinderella. They broke through big time, beating Baylor in the Fiesta Bowl. And I know they start the season just outside the top 25, but that's a ranking you don't think's fair.
If you go back to last year and look at what UCF did, a huge win against Penn State. That was at home against Penn State. And then knocking off Louisville, who everyone had going to the title game in the BCS. They had 5 games where UCF had to come back in the fourth quarter, including this run against SMU that then put them into the Fiesta Bowl against Baylor. And everyone, including me, expected them to get blown out by Baylor, and UCF with Blake Bortles, of course, ends up with the win. And George O'Leary coming into his 11th year. You know, Mike, you just mentioned that top 25 and not being ranked coming into it. If UCF were in one of the so-called power conferences and people really would have taken a look at this program, I think this is a top 25 team, even without Blake Bortles at quarterback this year.
Well, you just have to look at all the guys that are back for this ball club. They are loaded. Of course, Blake Bortles, a tremendous loss for this club. They have a rookie quarterback. I mean, Bortles is just in the history book and playing for the Jaguars. Now they've got a redshirt freshman quarterback. What do you expect out of him?
Pete DeNovo won the job because he managed the game better than the other 2 quarterbacks he was competing against. And when you look at what George O'Leary has done in his past at Georgia Tech as head coach and here, it really is about defense for him first. So the whole choice for DeNovo was he's a gamer, doesn't have the greatest arm, but he controls the huddle the best. He gets the information from the sidelines. And for them, they feel like if we don't turn it over, we're going to have a chance to win just about every game this year.
And here comes UCF. They take the field, and we'll check in with Kenny Mayne. He's with Coach James Franklin.
Coach, we're on. James Franklin breaking in an unusual way. Are you nervous?
No, I feel great. Feel really good about our guys.
You're giving them sort of the bowl game they can't get right now.
Well, we're just focused on playing Central Florida. It's a game. It's an opportunity.
How about your quarterback? Christian looked pretty strong as a freshman. Are you going to control him at all in a different way just to get him out of the gate route?
No, he's a special guy. What we got to do is we got to support and surround him with our O-line and our wide receivers to make plays.
You can tell us secrets. UCF can't listen right now.
No, we're just going to play the game. Thanks, though.
Good luck today. Congratulations on the job and continued success the rest of the way. Janine's with the other side.
Coach O'Leary, unprecedented success in 2013. A big part of that was Blake Bortles. A new era begins today with a freshman quarterback. How and why did Pete DeNovo earn the starting job?
Well, management skills, execute the best from sideline to the huddle, and You know, and we're not just about one player. We're about a lot of players and stuff. But all 11 have to play well, offense and defense, and just a great setting, great opportunity to play in another country.
We talked about all the other players. What do you have to do to help your quarterback, DeNovo, have some quick early success in this game?
Try protecting him so he has time to throw. But other than that, then I think basically it's going to be a game, as usual, first games, it's a game of special teams, who can block and who can tackle the best, what happens in the first games, and eliminate turnovers.
In recent weeks, you've had to deal with reports of a volcano maybe erupting, thoughts maybe you were thinking of retirement, and now you're playing in a foreign country. How have you kept your players focused on the here and now?
I was never thinking retiring. I don't know where that came from. When I'm going to retire, it won't be a secret.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Coach, thanks for your time. Guys?
Steve, thanks very much. And George lays it right on the line, doesn't he?
And there was a report out of a local station down in that was covering UCF that came out and said that he was going to retire potentially after this game. And we talked to him yesterday, and O'Leary said exactly what he said to Janine. He said, I'm still good. I'm still efficient at coaching. I'm not walking away, nor would I leave something that I started. So you can expect that O'Leary, at the very least, is going to coach through this season.
Penn State won the toss. They deferred to the second half, so UCF will get the ball first. Of course, this is not the first game in this nation. It started in 1988 when Boston College played Army in Dublin, but not at this stadium. There's a lot of big stadiums in Europe. If you don't think that's the case, you ought to see some of them. This place will seat 82,000 for soccer. The only other game here was in 1996, and you can imagine what a favorite this was with Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, playing against Navy. A lot of sights and sounds from Dublin. It's been a great trip. I hope you can enjoy part of it with us. We're ready to go from Croke Park. Central Florida will get the football. Michael Easton and Jordan Akins are deep for Sam Ficken's kick. Akins hesitates and then brings it out. Across the 15, belted as he got to the 16-yard line. And the Nittany Lions cover that kick very well. Jesse Della Valle gets the first stop, and there's a flag down on the play.
It's Vaughn Walker, who lost his helmet on the special teams play. He's a backup.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, defense, number 25, taunting, 15-yard penalty, first down.
And it was Walker who was called for an unsportsmanlike conduct. I wonder if that was for what he did after his helmet came off. When your helmet comes off now, this is a new rule from 2 years ago, you have to stop. You cannot continue to play. If you do continue to play, that becomes a personal foul.
Looked like all he did was celebrate.
Well, let's see. The helmet comes off here.
He didn't do anything.
Well, he's yelling at the UCF sideline, and that's one of the rules that they're trying to get. But I agree, that was just, you don't throw a 15-yarder on that. That was a little too close to the rule, I think.
Central Florida will start on the ground. A handoff to Dontravius Wilson, the sophomore out of Beaufort, Georgia. Central Florida's quarterback is Pete DeNovo. He takes the field for the first time in his college career. He is a record breaker from high school, but he redshirted last year when Blake Bortles starred as the signal caller. Now he is the winner of the camp battle for quarterback. Wharton, Reese, and Perriman are in a 3 running back set, and they'll give it to Wilson, and Wilson has no chance. He is swallowed up by Anthony Zettel, number 98, who was a defensive end last year, and at 278 moves inside to defensive tackle. They think the front 4 of this ball club is going to be pretty darn good.
And that's saying a lot after they lost Daquan Jones off of last year's team. But Zettel, a guy who's been able to move inside. And, of course, with Deion Barnes at end, C.J. Olanyan on the outside, who was a little dinged up. He was wearing a baby blue jersey. Olanyan was the other day at practice. But they do expect this front 4 to be very active.
DeNovo, they wanted to give him something easy for his first throw. On 3rd and long, it's not going to be easy. Throws a deep sideline, tipped away and caught out of bounds by Perriman. But it will be incomplete, and 3 and out for Central Florida. Deion Barnes was putting on the pressure from his right defensive end spot.
Bob Shoup, the new defensive coordinator, called a little pressure. That was a 5-man rush. Barnes came inside, and great coverage by Jordan Lucas, a guy who, very hard-working guy. He's worked very hard on his craft. The previous staff was really excited about him last year, how much work he had put in, and that is just terrific coverage when there's a little pressure up front from the defense.
Caleb Houston will punt, and Jordan Lucas, who's a very good kick returner, is back. Penn State struggled in this area last year. 8th in the Big Ten in punt returns, dead last in kick returns, and not a good one there as he lost his footing. A 52-yard punt from Caleb Houston. Penn State's offense runs through Christian Hackenberg. Last season, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year. He threw for almost 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions on the season. But he lost his security blanket, the great wide receiver Allen Robinson, who's going to step up for Penn State.
An offensive line with only 1 returning starter, so a lot of concern.
Hackenberg wanted to throw on 1st down, but this is a motion call against the Nittany Lions. That'll back him up 5.
Ball start.
Belton
Offense,
starts at
number
tailback.
59. 5-yard penalty.
He and Zwinnick will rotate a lot. You'll also see Akeel Lynch for Penn State.
That's got to be maddening. You call a play on the sideline, everyone runs out, and you get it wrong. And usually the first play of the game is walked through about 27 times before the game.
Maybe they should have tried for 28. Hackenberg throws near side, short completion. They won't get much out of that to Hamilton. He's dragged down by Ozerites on that corner.
We'll take a look at our impact players. You mentioned Zwinnick, who last year at the end of the year went over 100 yards against Wisconsin, had a big run in the 4th quarter. Bill Belton, the speedier of the 2 backs, and Terrence Plummer, one of the best defenders in the American Conference, was the Fiesta Bowl defensive MVP, and Clayton Gathers, a safety, a 4-year starter. This secondary for UCF, arguably one of the top in the country, easily the best in the American Athletic Conference.
Chris Godwin, number 12, was checked in as a 3rd wide receiver. Instead, they give it to Belton, and Belton is hammered at the line of scrimmage. Terrence Plummer, the tackling machine from his middle linebacker spot, had 110 stops last year. He is on every all-star list there is. The Walter Camp list is the top player in the country. The Butkus list, the Bednarik list. When you're on Butkus and Bednarik, if you're on there with Dick and Concrete Charlie, you're doing something right.
And that's why I was confused how UCF didn't get into that top 25. This is a defense that was really good and dominant at times last year and returned almost everyone.
Hackenberg goes to the shotgun on 3rd and long. Fakes the draw under pressure. And Hackenberg throws to the sideline, complete to Hamilton. That's what's gaining 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason is going to help you do. Get away from that rush. Mamea had a clean shot at him and missed it.
And right away you see one of the big concerns was the offensive front, and that's just too early pressure. And Hamilton, a redshirt freshman who couldn't play last year because of a wrist injury, one of the young receivers that James Franklin and his new offensive coordinator, John Donovan, expect big things out of Hamilton. But this is not a pure freshman. This is a guy who was on campus last year, so has some experience.
Chester and Wilkerson in a 2 tight end formation. Penn State will do this a lot. They have some great tight ends. Hackenberg throws underneath, complete. Picks up about 9.
That's about as big a tight end as you're going to see. Jesse James, 6'7", 270 pounds. Unfortunately for Penn State, they're losing. They miss Adam Brenneman, who hurt his left knee during camp. He's out, but you mentioned the depth. They go 4 deep at tight end. And this is something that Bill O'Brien and his previous staff really built on, and something that James Franklin realizes they'll need, especially with the struggles up front, the offensive line.
And Jesse James with 25 catches last year, the leading returning receiver. Pressure again on Hackenberg. Wilkerson going for the pass. It's incomplete. Troy Gray was coming, and Tyson Summers likes that pressure defense. Hurry up to the line of scrimmage, and Hackenberg tossed back to Belton. Look at the coverage by this UCF defense. They are just swarming that Penn State offensive line. Clayton Gathers and Troy Gray got there. Penn State with no room to operate.
Well, Penn State tried to pull the left tackle, Donovan Smith, but as aggressive as this defense is, as the defense, Clayton Gathers, they're playing up around the line of scrimmage. He knifes in. You're trying to pull Donovan Smith, a 335-pound left tackle. That takes too long to develop. The safety runs through and makes a big lost yardage tackle. Right now, a lot of gold shirts running through that offensive front for Penn State.
Chris Gula, number 37, won the punting job. He's a redshirt freshman. He'll kick to J.J. Wharton, who averaged better than 12 yards of return last year. High, short kick. Flag is down as he makes the fair catch at the 31-yard line. We'll check to see what this is.
Well, not a very good start for Penn State offensively. This was the biggest concern coming out of camp. They lost Miles Diefenbach, one of their guys that they were counting on, a leader, to a knee injury, a guard to a knee injury during the spring. There's 2 former defensive tackles now starting at offensive guard for Penn State. So early on, James Franklin is concerned for the O-line, maybe even growing than what it was coming out of camp.
Looks like running into the kicker, which would not give them an automatic first down. They may just take the kick. But a protracted discussion about the penalty here.
We have multiple fouls against the defense. Personal foul, roughing the kicker.
And now they're going to call it a personal foul, roughing the kicker, and that will be a first down. To the delight of James Franklin, and George O'Leary is really upset.
Well,
that's right in between, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And the idea is this is a safety rule, and so they will tell the officials. Young man is doing, Willie Mitchell's doing everything he can to pull up. I think you got to call running into the kicker there. I don't know that that was hard enough for a personal foul. Again, it's a safety issue, so the officials are told call it more aggressively, but that's 2 penalties in a row, 15-yarders that we have seen that seem a little on the line and probably should have stayed in the pocket or been less.
It's the only reason Penn State's offense still on the field. Hackenberg slips. We've seen a lot of guys lose their balance, and Hackenberg with a long bomb down to the 3-yard line to Deshaun Hamilton. A perfect post pattern, and Hackenberg laid it in there to beat Jacoby Glenn for 44 yards. Great throw.
Safety's late getting there. You've got a middle safety like Central Florida does, and Brandon Alexander, 37, you can see trailing the play.
Never found the ball.
He got brought up. If he starts to go back and finds that ball, I'm not sure if that's an interception. But Hackenberg, a guy who's getting so comfortable, if you see that safety looking back at you and you let it go, there's no way he's going to get to it. That was a nice throw by Hackenberg. Good read on a safety who was late on his turn.
First and goal for the Nittany Lions, and the power back Zwinnick is in the ballgame. He gets the carry and stopped short. Zwinnick, 6'1", 233. Last year rushed for almost 1,000 yards, 989. And bobbled the ball a little bit as he got to the goal line. Oh, he never got the handoff.
And Zwinnick's a guy who had a horrible wrist injury 2 springs ago. They weren't even sure he was going to be able to play last year. Still has to wear a brace, but this is a place I'd look for a run action pass if I were Penn State.
They are stacked to the left. Zwinnick will go that way and hit in the backfield. Lunges forward, touchdown. Nice run by Zwinnick. Plummer hit him short, but he used all of that 233 pounds to drive in there.
Good Good penetration. Oh, I think we might get a review
Yes,
there.
sir.
Yeah, very close.
Right knee hits first.
Yeah, from that angle, you can't tell because you can't see where the goal line is, but I wouldn't be sure, and here they go.
The ruling on the field
From the sideline, it looks like he was
the previous play
about
is
the
under
length
further
of the
review.
ball short of the goal line.
And one of the mechanical fixes for the officials this year is they're going to be more able to quickly get down the stoppage of play. We saw a couple times last year where it felt like something should be reviewed. It wasn't. But now they have a system in place where they will stop it sooner. And then if they're not going to review it, they'll just move on because they don't want to go buy something like this. Because this would bring up a third down. I mean, think how big a deal that would be.
And if Penn State scores here, just consider the way this game has been played so far. They have been dominated along the line by UCF, haven't been able to get out of their own way, and one great throw, and they're in scoring position.
And a bit of a call that maybe went their way. I'm not sure that was a 15-yard run. Maybe that should have been the 5-yard running into.
And if it was the running into, it would not have been a first down, and they kicked it away.
You know, it's refresh everybody's memory. The term is indisputable video evidence to overturn the call. The call on the field was a touchdown. I think they have
After further review, the runner's right knee was down prior to scoring.
I don't agree with that.
It'll be third down.
I don't think from
at the
that
half-yard
angle
line
you can tell.
From the left hash mark.
I disagree with that. The angles that we saw were not on the line, and I think that this was not indisputable that he was down. I think this touchdown should have been allowed. But now, if you're UCF, the hard part here is you have to think with a guy like Hackenberg who can run a bit that they're not going to run between the tackles, but you have to sell out a bit here. Inside 1 yard, but this is somewhere for Penn State, maybe get Hackenberg out on a bootleg.
They hustle to the line. They may look for a quick snap. Again, it's Zwinnick. And Zwinnick got to the goal line. Did he get in? Yes. And Central Florida's upset about this call. Three tough runs to get it in from 2 yards out.
Remember, the ball just has to cross the plane.
There it is.
Good call. Not sure
Zwinnick fortunate that he could swing his arm forward in all that traffic.
Still not sure he didn't score the last time, but.
And now Sam Ficken comes on for the point after. Ficken has been a lightning rod for both the good and the bad for place kickers during his career. But Hackenberg keys this drive. 4 out of 5 for 76 yards. And Penn State gets a touchdown in 5:07 of the first quarter, thanks to the penalty that kept the drive alive. And there is the strike to Deshaun Hamilton. And Zwinnick, 3 tries, third time's the charm. Isn't that stunning? Just the countryside of this beautiful nation. Welcome back to Ireland, the Croke Park Classic. Penn State has jumped on top 7-0 here in Dublin, Ireland, getting ready to kick to the Knights of UCF. Nice crowd on hand, too, and a beautiful day. It's 61 degrees. You don't get that a lot in Ireland. You know, sometimes you get 53, 30-mile-an-hour winds and rain. The next day, it's really nice, and today we got lucky. It's nice.
And we were talking to the UCF folks. George O'Leary said, our players love this weather. It's been 105 degrees with the heat index down in Florida during camp. So this more like a November game for UCF. I remember as a player the first games, and you'll see it today throughout college football, guys cramping, not quite ready for the heat. I'm not sure that's going to be an issue here.
And we're having mechanical problems with the headsets on the sideline. Aiken with a running start from the 10. The big man rumbles across the 30. Aiken in a foot race. And just tripped up as he got to the 25-yard line. Trevor Williams saved the touchdown. 67 yards for Jordan Akins, the 4-year minor league baseball player who agreed to come and play football for them 4 years ago before being an outfielder in the Rangers organization. Now he's back and playing football. They're going to love what he does.
And the Penn State fans used to seeing that the last couple of years. The Lions down in numbers because of scholarship sanctions have been poor on special teams. That time, everybody was magnetized to their blockers.
UCF beautifully set up to start the drive at the Penn State 23, and Dontravius Wilson gets about 3 to the 20-yard line before he's stopped by Ryan Kaiser, the free safety.
And Dontravius, a guy that the coaches were telling us had a terrific camp. He really runs well in their zone blocking schemes. He can find the crack. Of course, they lost Storm Johnson off of last year's team. Everybody expected William Stanback, to be the feature back, but Wilson had a terrific camp.
He only had 9 carries a year ago, so really short on experience, but not burst. Wilson up the middle inside the 5 before he is clobbered by Malik Golden. The safety just flattened him, but it will be first and goal for the Knights.
Nice job by Charlie Taft, the offensive coordinator for UCF. Had everybody spread out so that Penn State only had 5 defenders for the 5 offensive linemen blocking them. And again, Penn State, just like on that kickoff return, looked magnetized to the jerseys in gold. And that was a pretty giant hole for Wilson to run through.
2 tight end set. Wilson is the single setback. You'll get it again. Power straight ahead, down to the 1, maybe inside it.
Well, it was obvious. You mentioned the headline issues that Penn State has had, and their coaches are not able to use headsets now. But for Central Florida, they are using headsets. The difficult part, looks like they may have them back working at Penn State, but for UCF right now, this would be a time to potentially do a bootleg. That time Barnes and the other defensive end for Penn State crashed down really hard. This is where you could probably pull it out.
Wilson now with a blocker in front of him in the eye. He'll get the carry again, lowers his shoulder. Got just inside the 1.
Headsets, we just got word, are working again for Penn State, but that was an awfully slow developing play at the 1-yard line. Pulled the backside lineman. He didn't look like he knew what he was doing for the Knights, and now you're in a position, 3rd and outside a yard, that you have to, I think, if you're UCF, think about some type of throw.
Popolo is the blocking back. They set up in the tight formation again. Got run written all over, and Wilson again off the left side. And I don't think he got there. He stopped well short. Carl Nassib makes the tackle.
I think you got to go for it here on 4th down. You're inside a yard. Field goals are 3, touchdowns are 7. It takes 2 field goals to get not even back to a touchdown. And I know O'Leary is the defensive coach, but this is the right call. First game of the season, you're on the road. But they haven't been able to get any push at all in the run. I know DeNovo is a freshman, but I think you got to give him an option to throw it here.
Do you pound it straight ahead again? No, DeNovo. Redshirt freshman throws for the end zone and throws incomplete. Penn State stands defensively after giving up that big kickoff return. UCF runs it 3 straight times and then didn't fool Penn State when they went play action.
Very conservative calls, and I also didn't like the structure of the runs for UCF on 2nd on 3rd down. When you pull guys, you're leaving people unblocked. They're able to run through, and this was all Deion Barnes. He was the Big Ten Defensive Freshman of the Year 2 years ago. And that time, Barnes just does a terrific job of knowing that it was coming his way, and DeNovo has to bounce the outside, and there was nobody open. The coverage
So are you
was great.
saying if you want to run down there inside the 5-yard line, straight power, straight ahead?
If you give the defensive line time by pulling someone and having to set up, it just takes one guy to break off a block, and that's what we saw from Penn State.
And that's a good front for Penn State.
It's very good. And I think if you're going to get inside the 5, that 2nd or 3rd down, in my opinion, has to be a run-action pass.
Hackenberg will start 99 yards away from the goal line. Set short, throws over the middle again to Jesse James, the 271-pound junior tight end. This guy has Sunday skills, as do a couple of Penn State tight ends. No surprise, tight ends and linebackers at this school.
Of course, the sanctions were reduced last fall, where Penn State is able to start signing bigger recruiting classes to get their numbers back up to be competitive. There's an expectation that the bowl ban, which is 2 more years, may be lifted to just the end of this season.
Second in the yard, draw to Belton. He's got the first down and a nice cut to the outside, gets a block, and Belton driven out of bounds near the 30. There is a flag down. This could be a hold that would bring it back.
Holding, offense, number 72.
And it
After
is.
this is the goal, second down.
As a right guard, Brian Gaia, who James Franklin, because of the lack of depth on the offensive line, had to bring Gaia and the left guard, Derek Dowry, number 72. Yeah, he got up underneath the pads of Demetrius Anderson. And Gaia was a guy the other day at practice. The coaches were talking about move your feet, stop holding. It's a defensive guy still trying to make the transition.
So Penn State backed up inside the 5. They need to reach just past the 11 for a first down. Hackenberg with a little quick screen to the outside. Good catch by Geno Lewis, tripped up by Jacoby Glenn. Maybe a half-yard shy of a first down.
Wonderful call by John Donovan, the offensive coordinator now for Penn State. Get the ball out quickly. Geno Lewis, a guy with really good skills in the open field. Good change of direction. Get some of that yardage back. And this is a place down here where you feel like if you're Penn State, they've been pounding the ball, showing that they just want to run in the middle. Again, with a guy like Hackenberg, although they're going to go direct snap here.
Power formation. Belton will take the direct snap and picks his way for a first down. That's one of those plays as a running back. You're not looking to break anything. You need a half a yard. He just wanted the half yard.
And when I was, one of the neater things when I was in the NFL we used to chart was efficient runs. Not how long a run was, but on first down, did you gain more than 4 yards? On 3rd and 2, did you gain more than 2 yards? That, you can chalk that up as an efficient run.
And 3rd and a half a yard, you don't need 10. You need a half a yard. First down, Nittany Lions at their own 12. Clock running, 2:47 to go in the first half. Hackenberg on the run, throw short. Gesicki went to the turf, and they say he made the catch.
And Penn State's going to go fast because they don't want this review trying to catch UCF off guard. But I'm not sure that ball didn't skip before it got there, and the officials are now going to blow this dead to review it. Gesicki, a guy who got more time because of the injury to Adam Brenneman. Another true freshman. I'm not sure if that did.
We'll check out the complete or incomplete ruling right after this. Stay with us from Ireland.
Offside, defense, number 94.
We can't get out of it.
Contact in the neutral zone, 5-yard penalty. Enforcement of the penalty is a first down.
2:08 to go in the first quarter. UCF jumped off sides. They did rule the pass was complete, although we're going to question that ruling. It looked like the ball moved when it hit the ground instead of being controlled.
And then UCF jumped off sides and gave Penn State the freebie first down.
So it's a first down at the 27. Hackenberg throws out in the flat to Hamilton. 4th catch already for Hamilton, so we've answered the question of who replaces Robinson.
Here's what the replay officials looked at and said that this was a catch. To me, the ball right there clearly hits the ground and moves up into the arms. You can see it bounce up. I know that it has to be indisputable video evidence, so that one a little close. To me, that one hits the ground, but maybe you keep it because you can't quite say it hit the ground. I don't think that ball was complete, so I think you hold it. But the touchdown was the one by Zwinnick that I thought that they shouldn't have overturned. That one a little closer, I can see why they upheld it.
Zwinnick is back in there as the tailback, and he'll get the carry. The big guy cuts it to the outside. Looked like he had a running lane, but closed up quickly. Clayton Gathers, the all-star candidate at safety, made the tackle after Gray, the outside linebacker, missed him.
And this is something, especially for a coach like George O'Leary, who has seen so much defense. The first game, is always full of missed tackles. But right now for UCF, it looks like they're winning at the point of attack. They're getting at least one man free, but we've seen at least 3 occasions where they've missed a lost yardage gain that then became a positive play.
Hackenberg sharp early, 8 out of 9 here in the first quarter. Faces another potential passing down here. Short set, no pressure, throws, and it's picked. Intercepted. That ball is down. Intercepted by Jacoby Glenn, a first-team all-conference performer last year and a freshman All-American, and not a good throw by Hackenberg. Threw it inside instead of outside, it appeared.
Yeah, Hackenberg was looking over to his right to Deshaun Hamilton, and that was covered. And when he came back, it looked to me like he was late, and Jacoby Glenn was right on the hip of Geno Lewis. So the throw was late and back to the inside. Not a good toss by Hackenberg.
The 2014 Croke Park Classic is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots and in part by 5 expectation-shattering models. Another reason to experience the new Buick.
This is the Little Museum of Dublin. Residents donating artifacts to tell the city's history, including a whole room dedicated to Dublin's own U2, who played Croke Park back in 1985. Christian Hackenberg, now sophomore, throws his first bad pass of the day, and it's picked off in his own territory. And UCF will start from the 37-yard line. This is the second time they've had great field position against Penn State. They have yet to score. DeNovo gives to Wilson, and he has certainly had running room in this first half. Hull and Wharton, the linebackers, with the stop. Hull, an all-star candidate, number 43, moved from the outside to the inside to be the anchor of that defense this year.
And Hull was a guy that James Franklin mentioned when his coaching staff first got here. The players took a wait-and-see approach. They had just gone through another transition with Bill O'Brien, and Hull was a guy who bought in really early, especially when they moved into middle backer.
Presented by 5-Hour Energy. And you are watching the Croke Park Classic, UCF against Penn State from Dublin, Ireland, where it's 7-0 Nittany Lions. Beautifully designed bridge, isn't it?
The architecture along the River Liffey is as cool as I've seen in any major city in the world. It really is beautiful.
UCF sets up shop. DeNovo had a chance to keep it, instead throws behind his intended receiver J.J. Wharton, and he has a veteran group of wide receivers who can go get it.
And that was the second poor throw by DeNovo. On that 4th down, I should have made mention, you don't want to throw that ball out of bounds on 4th and goal from the 1. You at least want to put that in the end zone, see if somebody could get a PI or catch it. And that time he threw it well behind J.J. Wharton, who was wide open for the 1st down.
He has a good arm, but not a great arm. They describe him more as a game manager, somebody who can lead this team. But the job is certainly not his permanently if he doesn't come through. And so far he hasn't. DeNovo with good protection this time. Throws underneath. Nice catch and run by Wharton. Gives him enough for a 1st down. And that was yards after catch that did the job.
And this is a guy, Wharton, with great hands. He had that unbelievable one-handed catch against Temple last year to win the game. This time reaches out. Really nice coverage that time by Lucas. He also had the linebacker cutting underneath of that, Mike Hull. But good finish of the run for the 1st down. I'm not sure he caught that in front of the 1st down marker.
Well, Wharton has certainly proved if he can touch it, he can catch it. Wilson picks his way down to the 20-yard line. Check in with Janine Edwards.
going, the Knights, but one weapon that Pete DeNovo does not have at his disposal today is their leading receiver from last year, and that is Rennell Hall. You probably haven't seen number 6 out there. He's been battling a left elbow injury for the last couple of weeks, and Coach O'Leary told us he is emergency only today.
They'd really like to keep him out so he doesn't get that elbow banged again, and then they've got an off week next week, so he'd have 2 more weeks to heal. There's a draw play that doesn't go anywhere in the middle of that Penn State defense, led by Brandon Bell and Austin Anderson, stood him up.
And with Hall out now, DeNovo without 2 of the top receivers from last year. Of course, Jeff Godfrey moved on, and Hall, a guy that last year had 57 receptions, so missing that much experience is difficult for the first-time starter. And now O'Leary looking at the clock here, probably as a defensive coach, hoping it continues to tick. This is feeling like it could be a defensive game.
3rd and 8 for DeNovo. Penn State brings 4. DeNovo under pressure, steps up, dives forward. He's going to be 5 yards shy of a first down at the 19-yard line. From here, it would be about a 36-yard field goal, and that's the unit George O'Leary is going to send on.
Good rush by Brad Bars, a guy who missed last year from Penn State with an injury, and now UCF. Again, you look at their roster, unbelievable that they didn't get in the top 25. They returned all of their kickers, including this guy, who all he was last year was 21 of 23.
He's on the Groza watch list this year. This is his first attempt this season. It will be from 36 yards out. And he is true, and UCF gets on the board. You're watching us from Dublin, Ireland, and there is ancient Trinity College in downtown London. Back in Dublin, Ireland, with Penn State leading UCF, excuse me, 7-3. Penn State will get the ball, and that means that Sean Galvin will kick off for UCF. He grew up playing all sports in Cork, Ireland, about a 4-hour drive southwest of Dublin, and always dreamed of playing in this stadium. Little would he know that he would get to Dublin through Orlando, Florida, and a scholarship at Central Florida.
There he is as a youngster. He was awfully upset when his family moved to Florida. He feels like kicker is a little boring because of the sports he played when he was a youngster here. There was a lot more going on than just kicking the ball.
And he's more than willing to mix it up on special teams after he kicks it. Lynch 22, Walker 25 are deep. Lynch, back up running back, takes it out near the 23-yard line, taken down. We've got more from Kenny Mayne. Kenny.
Yeah, we got a young man named David. Maybe you'll be like Sean Galvin and pick up American football?
Yeah.
Are you more of a hurling guy right now?
More of a hurling guy at the moment.
What questions do you have for us? Do you understand our game yet?
Yeah, a little bit.
No question?
Well, no.
Okay, we're dying on this interview, but let's show them what you've learned so far. Run me a straight go. Okay, we found a lineman. We found a lineman. Let's get back to the game.
Oh, Kenny, thanks so much. The accent's priceless, isn't it? Penn State starts from its own 23. Good fake by Hackenberg. Throws on the run and throws incomplete. Short and out of bounds. Deshaun Hamilton looked like he was open. And Hackenberg missed him.
And Hackenberg saying to Hamilton, you got to come back sooner. That did not look like it was how they drew it up. I will say I've talked to people internationally about our game, and they say it looks like you stand around a bunch and then you hug each other for a few seconds.
Hey, trust us, they're not hugging.
I don't know. I would get my arms around guys occasionally if you didn't get caught.
That's called holding, not hugging.
Yeah, they're good point.
Hackenberg with a long signal count, fakes to Belton again. Sets, throws the out, complete again to Hamilton. Almost every quarterback, they won't always admit this to you, but they have a favorite wide receiver, and obviously Hamilton is the guy.
Not much depth You mentioned the loss of Allen Robinson, who had 97 catches last year. Brandon Felder, who was the #2 receiver, also gone. 97 versus 144 for the rest of the team. And so Hamilton, a guy who did not play last year with a wrist injury, is starting to step up.
Power formation with Belton, the deep man. He'll get the call, and Belton has the first down. Good job by that offensive line to give him a little seam and enough to keep the sticks moving.
Penn State going with a big power formation there. They bring in Wendy Laurent, the backup tight end, to play kind of the wing, the backup center, I should say, to play kind of the wing tight end. That's twice that they've used that formation and run it both times to that side. So you would expect that John Donovan, the offense coordinator, has something in that package when they bring Laurent in to play tight end, where they may come back the other way with a throw.
So far in this ballgame, Penn State really has made one play, the long throw by Hackenberg, that set them up for a touchdown. Here comes a blitz. Good protection by Hackenberg, throws to James, and the tight end picks up about 8.5 yards. When you've got two tight ends who can get open and catch the ball, that's a great comfort zone.
Well, and a guy like James, 6'7", you throw it a bit off target. He's got good range, but that was good blocking on a blitz up front by Penn State.
James makes his third catch, and that pass incomplete. Saturday Night Football presented by Wells Fargo has Jameis Winston and the top-ranked Florida State Seminoles starting the defense of their title against Oklahoma State in the Cowboy Classic tonight at 8 Eastern. That's on ABC.
Tough sledding for Oklahoma State. 5 total returning starters from last year against the defending national champs and defending Heisman Trophy winner.
Third down and short again. Belton, same play off the left side, same result. First down, Penn State.
No surprise that Penn State running the left side. That's where Donovan Smith is. He's the only returning starter up front at left tackle for James Franklin. And this is an offensive line that was just gutted by injuries and graduation. Of course, I mentioned Miles Diefenbach, the starting guard, out from a knee injury in the spring. But I went back to that last game against Wisconsin, and of the 10 players in the 2 deep for the offensive line for Penn State, only 2 out of 10 returned from last year's offensive line in that last ball game. So a very thin position, and it looks like they're leaning on the guy Donovan Smith, who at times last year could be dominant as a run blocker.
Well, you know, the fascinating thing to me about their offensive line is that they have 2 defensive tackles playing guard. Now you got Keel Lynch into the ball game, number 22, on the right side of Hackenberg on first down. Play fake. Hackenberg chased inside UCF territory, just across the 50.
And Hackenberg can run. Get a little mistaken that he's just a tall pocket passer. Guys with that height, you usually think are just going to stand there, but he can run, and it was one thing that the staff at the end of last year was working on, pulling down a little quicker, because the sooner you pull it, when you decide you're going to catch an extra yard or 2.
It's obviously smart, too. Yeah. He's going to slide, not get drilled.
Yeah, you don't have to be Johnny Manziel if you're Christian Hackenberg. Get what you can get and get down.
Belton is back in as the tailback. It'll be 2nd and 5. Nittany Lions trying to shove the ball down UCF's throat here. Hackenberg short set. Nothing there. Goes to the other side and throws incomplete, trying to hit Geno Lewis, but he couldn't hold it.
Looked like a pretty decent throw by Hackenberg. I will say I'm really impressed with this secondary from UCF. There has not been many big windows for Hackenberg to throw through. We knew there was a lot of experience here. That ball's got to be caught. Lewis just lost concentration there as the defensive back was closing on him, but that ball needs to be caught.
Well, all 4 of those guys in the secondary are starters back from last year. You don't get that very often. And they were good last year.
And all of their backups are back as well.
That's right. Yeah, good luck getting some playing time as an incoming freshman. Third down, blitz coming. Hackenberg retreats and throws. Jesse James, where are they going to mark it? That's really close to the sticks.
It looked to me like James caught this ball beyond, and I think they're going to give it to him. But you mentioned that Deshaun Hamilton may be the new go-to receiver. It's starting to look like Jesse James.
They may split that role.
Exactly. Very close. It can be reviewed. I don't think that they should review this. That looked like a first down. But the one thing that John Donovan and the offensive staff at Penn State has been pushing these tight ends to do because of the lack of experience at wide receiver is to be able to do everything. And we've seen now a bunch of the tight ends. That time James walked away from the line of scrimmage playing wide receiver.
Hamilton has 5 catches, James 4 so far. Hackenberg, great protection. Now he's got another receiver involved, Kyle Carter, another veteran tight end who caught 18 balls a year ago. And the hurry-up offense for Hackenberg.
UCF. Yeah, UCF had run on a defensive lineman.
Prior to the play,
Jemias Pittman, the true freshman, was trying to come in to get someone off the field, and UCF smartly using a timeout instead of giving Penn State the free play with 12 men on the field.
It's great recognition by the Nittany Lions, though, forcing them to use that timeout. 7:57 to go in the half. 7-3 Nittany Lions. Welcome back to Dublin, Ireland. Penn State has had incredible support over here. They were telling us earlier this week they were expecting 15,000 people to come to Dublin, Ireland for this game. How's that for a road game?
You've got to be happy for the Penn State fans to get to do something like this. They had obviously the devastation of the end of the Joe Paterno era, and they have hung in there. You know, we've covered them a lot over the last 2 years.
Sure, yeah.
And the dedication and the backing of the fan base at Penn State has been exceptional, and they have really gotten behind this team this year.
Hackenberg rolling to his right and throws complete again to Hamilton and Deshaun Hamilton.
I really like what John Donovan and the offensive staff have done for Penn State. They couldn't run at a drop. They were getting beat up front, so now they're giving the ball to Hackenberg, and he's starting to get into a rhythm, it looks like.
Hamilton, 6 catches, 106 yards, and they hurry up, and now Hackenberg doesn't like what he sees, and he's going to use the timeout with 7:38 to go in the half. .738 to go in the half, 7-3, Penn State driving. Welcome back to Dublin, Ireland. ESPN College Football presented by Hampton Hotels has a pair of terrific matchups for you later today. At 5:30 Eastern, number 16 Clemson, number 12 Georgia, then at 9, number 14 Wisconsin against number 13 LSU. You've got to admire these teams that play these tough games early in the season. If you have aspirations of a national championship, they could go away today.
And with the new college football playoff, I think we're going to start seeing more games like that.
Belton off the left side, slips a tackle, but not the second one. Stopped just inside the 2-yard line. It will be 2nd and goal.
Now this is, we saw UCF do this where they got inside the 5. We saw Penn State just trying to run. This would be a down. As good as Penn State is with their tight ends, especially with some of the height they have at that position, I would think this would be a position. Hackenberg is the reason you're down here. He's really gotten into a nice rhythm throwing. This might be the chance here.
Switch up the formation, and Hackenberg wants to throw for it. Sidearm out of bounds. Excellent coverage back there by Jacoby Glenn. He gave Hackenberg no place to throw it as he was looking for one of his tight ends.
That's another
Carter.
Yeah, it's another drop. We saw that ball get right into his hands, and Hackenberg had to really drill it. You could see him get a little more sting on the ball as he let it go, but that's a second drop for Penn State. But I think you do the same thing here. I think you give Hackenberg a chance. He really feels like he's in the flow of the game. He was not rushed there, even though the protection had broken down, kept his eyes calmly downfield. But now they're going to direct snap. A little surprised at this one.
Zwinnick, following his lead blocker, never had a chance. Now you're asking a guy who's 233 pounds to be the recipient of the direct snap.
And this is the same thing that I've been mentioning. When you take this long at the goal line, look how long Zwinek has to wait for his blocks. And then Daryl Mamea just destroyed up the middle, goes through the middle. And I don't know why you don't have Hackenberg with the ball in his hands on that third down. I didn't like that call at all.
He lost 3 yards on the carry. And now Ficken will come on to try a short field goal, 22 yards. And drills it through, and Penn State regains its 7-point lead, but that seemed like a wasted opportunity.
Penn State should have 14 on the board. If I were a Penn State fan, I would not be happy with that series of downs. As well as Hackenberg was playing, to not have him in on third down, I think that was a mistake.
10-3, Penn State, part of downtown Dublin, Ireland.
At the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event, you'll discover why we pursue groundbreaking advances in safety. And you'll find our gold standard in the Lexus GX, RX, and ES. This is the pursuit of perfection.
In a bad economy, I needed a quality degree that would help me get a job that would support my family.
This is my life, and this is my Penn State.
This silver dollar has been in our family for generations. I had it with me the night I won the heart of your grandmother. Wait, that was Chrissy Redfern. Don't tell Nana. It even saved my life from a nail gun in the great construction riots. And now I want you to... Never mind.
No dollar is safe. The new Dollar Cravings menu. 11 craveable creations, each for $1.
At the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event, discover the gold standard of luxury hybrids, with the most complete hybrid line of any luxury automaker, including the fuel-efficient CT and ES hybrids. This is the pursuit of perfection.
Today on the SEC Network, Arkansas heads to Auburn for a season-opening SEC West showdown. Quarterback Brandon Allen returns to the Razorback huddle, healthy and ready to lead the Hogs on their comeback. While Gus Malzahn's Tigers, off the heels of a remarkable season, focus on bringing home a national championship. Arkansas-Auburn, today at 4 on the SEC Network, presented by Dr. Pepper.
The U.S. Open, round of 16, Monday night at 7 on ESPN2.
Just a lovely day in Ireland. In the low 60s, sunshine. A lot of fans from both UCF and from Penn State.
Saw James Franklin in his Vanderbilt gear in that shot sequence. Of course, he was hired after Bill O'Brien decided after 2 years to go back to the NFL and coach the Texans. And I think Penn State got what James Franklin and this staff, mostly this staff, did at Vanderbilt in the SEC.
Remarkable.
Just unbelievable. 124-year history of that program. And Franklin, 124-year history. First time ever, top 25 consecutive years. The last 2 years put them in the top 25 in that league. And then to get, and he's from Pennsylvania, I thought that was just a terrific hire. Everyone was disappointed when Bill O'Brien left. I think they landed a guy that's going to be here for a long time.
Easton and Akins are deep. Akins, last time he touched the ball, went 67 yards. Not this time, tripped up just short of the 20. Let's check in with Janine Edwards.
Well, Mike and Ed, you know, George O'Leary is a defensive guy, right? So it was interesting after the Knights' last possession that he came over to the offense. First, he said to his quarterback, Pete DeNovo, the first open guy you see, get it to him. Then he spent a lot of time with the offensive line, and he said, guys, you are not moving your feet. You've got to move your feet. You've got to stay on blocks, finish your blocks. And one guy especially who's been very frustrated by Penn State is Brian Gaia, the defensive tackle, who's now on offense.
All right, Janine, thanks very much. DeNovo, of course, the redshirt freshman, learning on the job. Run an option play, nothing.
And right now, Penn State has completely said, we don't feel like we can get beat by this freshman quarterback. They are bringing everybody up to the line of scrimmage. That time, Bell comes up, the sophomore linebacker, knifes in, and that was exactly what O'Leary was talking about with his offensive line. And this offensive line, like Penn State, they're a bunch of new guys too. They lost 3 players off last year's teams who all have made NFL rosters as of right now.
You saw the meager numbers for DeNovo. Screen to Wilson. And that's the way you try to get a young quarterback started, throwing a hitch or a screen. But they picked up minimal yardage on that play. So he's 2 out of 5 for under 15 yards.
And defensively, Penn State just looks like a different group than earlier in the game. I think that, yeah, becoming more aggressive. This is something that Charlie Taft, the offensive coordinator from UCF, saw last year at Vanderbilt when Bob Shoop, the defensive coordinator at Vanderbilt last year, now here at Penn State, they started to get more aggressive in the second half of the season. And we're seeing that again here. Taft expected to see that. But right now, UCF not handling the more aggressive Penn State front.
Looked like Penn State brought in all the defensive backs they had on 3rd and 6. And they're showing a 3-man front. Now they come with a blitz. Good protection on DeNovo. But now he's swallowed up, tries to dive forward, can't get back to the line of scrimmage. Good job by Penn State. They showed a very passive rush and then brought 5. Anthony Zettel got there in a hurry.
And I think DeNovo got a little confused. The 3-man rush, and all of a sudden 5 are coming. Well, you know, he stood in the pocket actually really nice for a freshman. The problem was Naeem Wortman, one of the linebackers who remained in the game. You mentioned all those defensive back. Wortman was blanketing the receiver, J.J. Wharton, that quarterback was looking for. That was excellent coverage when you bring the extra man on the rush for Penn State.
Houston will punt to Lucas. And the on-the-job training goes on. Almost a block. There is a flag down at the line of scrimmage. Lucas lets it bounce. And great coverage by UCF on the special teams. No return after a punt of 47. Now we'll look at the penalty.
Personal foul, defense, number 20, automatic first down.
It's a personal foul. We're having trouble hearing the microphone from the official. But I believe they said it was on number 20, Jordan Dudas. And another big penalty keeps the drive going. Penn State has been the beneficiary of that a couple of times. One, a roughing the kicker call and set up the first touchdown.
Huge penalty.
But this one
for James Franklin,
keeps UCF going.
His quarterback started to get into a lather, looking good on the last drive. They stubbed their toe a bit down on the goal line. The defense comes out and does their job. And unfortunately now for the defense, you think you're off the field. You start to relax for a minute. You're a little tired. Now you've got to come back out and put your hand back on the ground.
Quick throw to the sideline, tipped away. Nice play by Jordan Lucas. Got the hand up, knocked it out of bounds.
Lucas looks like a guy who's in command of his side of the field. He is at tight coverage that time. As he started, the term is to slough off as a corner, as he started to back off into coverage because he had underneath and there was nothing there. Read the eyes of the quarterback and was able to get in that throwing lane. DeNovo's got to understand that ball needs to have some air on it. If you know that cornerback is going to be backing out, he tried to drill it, got to put a little more air on that throw.
2nd and 10. Can they take advantage of that penalty to keep the drive going? Wilson, who had a lot of running room early in the ball game, but now Penn State, as you so smartly pointed out, is playing. You're not going to run on this defense. You want to throw, you can throw, but you're not going to run.
Good plan. Going up against a first-time starter and Pete DeNovo at quarterback. And you know that he doesn't have the strongest arm, so you're not really that fearful of it going over your head, although you're going to have somebody deep in case it does. But Penn State just moving a bunch of bodies around now at the line of scrimmage.
3rd and 7 for the redshirt freshman quarterback, and we have movement. Looked like Torian Wilson, the veteran left tackle.
5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
I think the change by Penn State defensively has really gotten in the head of UCF. It felt like, and Mike, you and I were talking, early in that first quarter when we went to break that it looked like UCF might have been the better team here today, but because of the change up front for Penn State defensively right now, and that's a veteran guy in Wilson who was a starter last year, jumping off sides, I think they're confused a bit and frustrated.
3rd and long now for the Knights. DeNovo, that ball may have been tipped. It's complete, but it's very short. Caught by J.J. Wharton and taken down by Daquan Davis.
And DeNovo's got it's hard. You get that internal clock of when your protection's going to break down, but the truth is he had perfect protection and he took the earlier throw. There's no way that that throw is going to pick up the first down. They had a late deep cut coming across from the right that he may have held out for, but it's tough. Young quarterback thinking protection may break down, but it did.
So they'll set up to kick it away again. Nice kick by Houston. Lucas makes the fair catch at the 21-yard line. 39-yard kick and no return, so the score remains at 10-3. It's the Brazen Head Pub, the oldest pub in Ireland. We'll have to go there tonight. Welcome back to Croke Park in Dublin, Ireland, where we have a 10-3 game. Look at all the extra space on the sideline. That's because the field used for European sports and Irish sports is so much wider than American football fields. And European stadiums are very big. In Barcelona, almost 100,000. Wembley, a very famous stadium in London, 90,000. Madrid, 85,454, and then we come to Croke Park, where we're playing today, at 82,300. So some great facilities for sport in Europe. Hackenberg has 2:10 to work with before halftime, and he comes out throwing and hits the pass to Geno Lewis, and Lewis picks up about 8.
You've got 2 timeouts, 2 minutes left. Remember, in college football, the clock stops once you're inside of 2 minutes for everything out of bounds, every incomplete pass, and every first down. So this is plenty of time for Penn State.
4-man rush. Hackenberg over the middle. James makes the catch. He's drilled but hangs on. Nice hit by Clayton Gathers, but a gain of 22 to tight end Jesse James.
And James went down pretty hard, so he's coming off the field. I'm not sure if that was a head hit. That looked to me like Gathers may have dropped his head. He didn't look like he targeted, though, where you gather and bunch yourself to hit. It's part of that rule.
Hackenberg straight back again in the really speeded up offense and throws a strike to Godwin. Go back to that last play. Looked like he hit him in the shoulder.
It's awfully close. Remember, if you get targeting, it's either leading with the top of your helmet, which Gathers clearly didn't do there, and it looked to me like he was turning his shoulder, trying to get to the shoulder, but remember, there is a 15-yard penalty and an ejection if you're called for targeting and initiating contact at the head or the neck. Excuse me, forceful contact, head or neck, or leading to the top of your helmet. That time, Gathers did look like he used his shoulder.
Hackenberg throwing strikes has Penn State down to the 36. Pressure coming, gets it out in a hurry. The catch made by Geno Lewis. He's tackled immediately. Clock continues to run, approaching the 1-minute mark.
What you have to do if you're Penn State, be careful. You have these 2 timeouts. You don't want to waste too much time on a throw like that. You want to have as much time in your hip pocket as possible to start picking up a couple first downs.
Hackenberg keeps his feet, keeps the play alive, gets what he can, and gets out of bounds before somebody drills him. And it's a first down.
Hackenberg's lucky he got away. His left tackle got beat. Donovan Smith late. He's lucky he was not tackled for a loss, but good job getting out of bounds. Now what you have to be a little more aggressive with these timeouts. You're ahead of the clock here, so you get something in the middle of the field that looks like it's going to take a while. Don't be afraid to use that timeout. And for UCF, sometimes you think this timeout might be good for your defense just to give them a little breath.
Hackenberg, another short set behind Jesse James this time, and it bounced off his left arm and was up for grabs. Coming up in the Dave & Buster's halftime report, we'll have a look at Irish hurling. I think you're going to love this. And I love road bowling. Kenny Mayne shows us how. And an interview with UCF Athletic Director Todd Stansberry. He'll be talking about the remarkable success of this program as well as the American. .47 seconds to go in the half. 2nd and 10 for Hackenberg and Penn State. Blitz coming. He unloads, and the route cut off by Godwin.
Hackenberg expecting Godwin to continue on the go route, running down the field. Godwin working on his way back, and Hackenberg, because the protection started to break down, lobbing that up, but you're starting to see some of that inexperience. It's a second route we've seen where it was obvious the quarterback and the receiver were not on the same page. Godwin, a true freshman.
Big 3rd down here from the UCF 24. Pressure, looked like they got away with a hole, and the throw inside the 10 complete to Godwin. No penalty flag. Somebody came free, and now a flag is down at the 10.
Excellent job by Hackenberg.
Offensive pass interference. Number 12.
Offensive interference.
15-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Now they called that on Godwin, the guy who caught it. He was working back to the middle of the field, but Hackenberg is really doing a nice job when the protection is breaking down, not panicking. Just getting out of the way of it. You don't have to go to full speed. Keep your eyes down the field. Obviously, he's worked very hard on his pocket mechanics. It was good last year, but you can see some growth. He looks very comfortable even when the pocket is breaking down. Oh, Godwin pushed off to get back to the middle of the field was the call.
And we've got a timeout, only 27 seconds left in the half. Stay with
Please
us.
reset the game clock to 29 seconds.
Well, we're back. We went back to find this penalty. This is an American Conference officiating crew. And watch the bottom of your screen. Bottom of your screen is Godwin. 12 is, he knocks the defender down there. They don't throw the flag. I don't know how you call that. Godwin is allowed to use his hands. It's physical. The guy fell down. Another call I don't agree with.
Hackenberg under pressure, lobs it for the end zone and knocked away.
Well, the problem now is you're well outside of field goal range. That penalty, which, as we showed you there, didn't look like a penalty to me. Godwin had press coverage. He's allowed to use his hands just like the defender. The flag was thrown long after he had released from the line of scrimmage, and so now Penn State. Wow, this is well outside the range for Ficken. His long on his career is 54 yards last year against Kent State.
This is 56. And the whistle will kill the play.
Now there's a flag from the back judge.
There is no foul for legal substitution. 4th down.
They were trying to call illegal substitution, and because Ficken was able to kick it and it came up
3rd and final,
about 8 yards short, I think James Franklin said, because they blew the whistle right before the snap, Ficken kicked it and that ball landed about middle of the end zone. And so I think James Franklin wisely waving this off. But that penalty, going back to the penalty against Godwin, that would have been a 1st down. I'm still not clear how they call defensive pass interference. When it's at the line of scrimmage, the defender is up playing aggressive press man coverage, and all Godwin did was use his hands to push away the defender who's trying to do the same thing. I think that was not a good call.
Coverage of the FIBA Basketball World Cup begins today. Team USA takes the court against Finland. Preliminary round action at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN, as well as live on Watch ESPN.
John Donovan, the offensive coordinator, first year at Penn State, was the OC last year at Vanderbilt. Most of the staff came along with James Franklin, so that helped the transition. Obviously, when coaches know each other, they know what they want in recruiting, they know how to communicate. But now here you are in a situation, if you punt this, I don't understand the logic of why you would go for it. Maybe there's a pooch kick here. You know, if you punt it in the end zone, the ball comes out to the 20. You're trying to force it at the end of the half. Maybe.
I think you're just gambling a little bit. See if Hackenberg can do something with it. Now he's chased out of the pocket and taken down at the 48-yard line.
And that is the one thing, if you're going to do that at the end, you can't do. 2 timeouts. This is really badly handled, frankly, by Penn State here at the end. They send out Sam Ficken, who clearly was outside of his range. So that seemed to be the wrong choice there. Then you bring Hackenberg back in. Right now, he's got to do something. He's got to throw it away or get rid of it, because now you could fumble that from behind. A good hustle play there by Thomas Niles to continue on. But now, 14 seconds left, 2 timeouts. This, for UCF, if they can get something down the field, you start to get inside of your kicker's range and more consistency at that position from Sean Moffitt. His career long at 50, so they need to get to, let's call it about the 30 or 32-yard line, and they're going to be in field goal position. I don't think that was a good choice by Penn State. I know that there's a freshman quarterback starting on the other sideline, but I sure wouldn't want to give the ball back at near midfield if I were Penn State here.
Let's see what they can do with 14 seconds and de novo. And they're going to change quarterbacks, and it's not going to make any difference. They put in Justin Holman, who was the backup to Bortles a year ago, played sparingly. He's out of Snellville, Georgia. Tough situation to put the young man in for his first play before halftime.
I think both coaching staffs showing some first game rust. I'm not sure why I know that DeNovo has not played great, but nobody else on offense has played lights out either. And to go with a guy who's not thrown a pass to come in at the end, if you're just going to heave it up in the air, I get it, but you give up a sack and then let the clock run out after getting a little bit of a gift from Penn State.
Check in with Janine. She's with Coach Franklin.
Coach, a little bit of a gamble on that last play there. What was the thinking there?
We want to be aggressive with everything we do. We tell our players we're going to do that before the game, so I want to make sure we come out and call the game that way.
You were anxious to see this first game with your new team. Give us the good, the bad, and the ugly this first half so far.
Well, the bad is we didn't have headsets the whole first quarter. That was an adjustment, but we got to clean up the penalties. Besides that, I thought we did some nice things.
Okay, Coach, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janine. At the half, our score, Penn State 10, UCF 3. We'll be back with the Dave & Buster's halftime report right after these messages.
Buster's.
Dublin, Ireland, Penn State up at the half, so we take this necessary break for some Irish hurling. Donald Cusack, arguably the Michael Jordan of Irish hurling. Let's do it. Let's tell me what's going on. Turn around and watch this game. I have no idea. I've forgotten everything I ever learned about the sport.
Yeah, Kenny, thanks very much. What we're looking at here is a shot of hurling. It's one of the most popular sports, if not the most popular sport in the country. It's our ancient warrior sport.
They're using a slitter. That's the thing they just struck.
It's a leather ball. It's very like a baseball. It's a bit smaller, and they've got 36-inch ash sticks in their hands that they use.
These weapons.
I wouldn't say weapons. Some people describe them as their swords, but these guys, when you're speaking of weapons, they just wear one form of padding, and that's around the head. These guys don't wear any other form of padding, and a lot of our biggest hurling game of the season is taking place in this stadium
in 2 weeks, right?
in 2 weeks' time, and it will be an 82,000 sellout. Yet all of these players return to work the next day. So all of these players are amateurs, even though everything around the game is professional. You can see the beautiful stadium that we've got here, sponsorship, TV rights. These guys train as professionals, but they're not paid. They play for the pride of the game and the pride of their place.
And they just scored. That was the three-point play, correct? Putting it in the net?
Exactly, into the net with this snapshot of the game is a three-point play. What you're looking at here is a shortened version of the game. The reason why we've designed a shorter version of hurling is our pitches are much bigger, and that has been played in international venues. So we've got a shorter form of the game here that we want to take to other places in the world.
They can forward the slitter either with their stick or briefly with their hand, like tee themselves up.
Indeed, it's one of the beauties of our sport is it's so free-flowing. You can use the stick, you can go forward, backwards, you can catch it, you can hand it. It's a physically tough and uncompromising game, if you like, but it's one of the greatest skills of the game is that players know how to protect themselves. We had one of the biggest, greatest All-Ireland finals ever played here 12 months ago, and over 2 games, the game went to a replay. There wasn't any of our players drew blood, which was testament to the skill of these guys.
Am I right or wrong? Wouldn't they have a goalpost like the American goalpost normally, and you get a 1-point play for making it over that?
That's it, Kenny. You get a 1 point for going over it and 3 points for going underneath it.
And another 3 has been scored by the white team, apparently.
Yes, exactly. And in this game, we just go all goals. There isn't any points, but as you can see the speed of these guys. Bravery is a big part of this. It's not a sport for the faint-hearted, because these weapons, as you call them, in their hands are they don't tend to break off your body. They tend to just leave a mark.
All right, Donald, good luck with the All-Ireland hurling coming up in a couple of weeks. Thanks for educating Americans. We can Google it to find out more. We're coming right back. It's like a 2. Penn State and the football's up 10-3. We'll return to Dublin with some Irish road bowling right after this.
Stay there, my Nicky Quaid, straight at him, and he can feel.
Welcome back to the Dave & Buster's Halftime Report.
I once took Marshawn Lynch to a Dave & Buster's. A good time was had by all. But I don't know that I would take Marshawn Lynch to what we're going to show you in a reprise of our Wider World of Sports segment on Irish road bowling. Now, you'd want Randall Cunningham or John Elway or Warren Moon. Only the big arms are invited.
Welcome to Shannonville, Ireland. We are here for some Irish road bowling. 2 gentlemen will be throwing a 28-ounce ball of iron, looks like a cannonball, down a street for 1 mile and 1/4. The man who throws the ball the least number of times is proclaimed the winner.
2 villages have gathered together on a country road in Ireland to carry on a tradition that's been going on so long. It is traditional. Meet Christy Mullins, who dressed for the day in vinyl sweatpants. Notice the thin striping. Slimming. Meet Big Bill Daly. He looks a bit like Super Mario. He decided blue jeans would be enough to get the job done. Meet James O'Driscoll, whose Irish accent is so thick some would have suggested subtitles. Not us.
Competition can be fierce at times, but there's great respect for each other.
He's our Andy North, our color commentator. Christy Mullins threw first. Notice how he went over the starting line. Every time he threw. Irish road bowling had begun in Shannonville, Ireland. Bill Daly was aiming for the spotter, who stood like a croquet wicket in the middle of the road.
Oh, I like what he did. Why are people yelling? They're happy for Bill Daly?
They're very happy, yeah.
They're happy for Bill Daly?
Due to time constraints, we move ahead to later action. Big Bill Daly's lead was brief. Christy Mullins took command of the match, and throw after throw extended his advantage.
Mullins is playing real well. His last 3 throws are just tremendous throws.
And there's no shuttle bus back.
No shuttle bus back, only there'll be a contest back. So
we're
you'll have to
walking
wait
2.5
you'll have
miles
to
for
walk.
our health. He has this throw. Here's the finish line, so just mere feet away. But he has to get past his ball with this throw.
Like a Game 7 in the NHL, there's no bigger moment. It was all on Mullins and his thin striped vinyl sweats now. Do you believe in miracles? Actually, it wasn't a miracle. Christy Mullins was favored. After all, he wore vinyl sweats. And the competitors, they were all class.
How come red-headed girls aren't doing Irish step dance right now in celebration of this? We're just standing here.
I know. Well, you didn't bring them, obviously.
Yeah, we have a low budget.
A long walk done, we left the Irish countryside thinking about men and their iron balls. Big fans.
It's just like a big cultural sporting exchange today, a piece of Ireland sports, and we're bringing American tackle football here to Dublin. Coming back real soon, players getting set for the second half kickoff. American football in Dublin, Ireland.
This halftime report is presented by Dave & Buster's, your new football headquarters. The only place to watch the games and play the games. And welcome back to Croke Park at halftime, where it's 10-3 Penn State over UCF. And UCF AD Todd Stansberry joins me now. Todd, unprecedented success last year, 2013. Your first BCS Bowl win, highest draft pick in school history. How do you take that success and build on that? What are your goals for the immediate future?
Well, I think our goals really are just, be solid this year, have another solid year. In fact, the last 3 out of 4 years, we've had 10-plus win seasons. So we've been slowly building, and now, of course, after last year's success, we just got to keep moving in the right direction.
Well, a huge part of that success, of course, has been your head coach, George O'Leary, in his 11th season. There were some talk in the last week or so that he was thinking of retirement. He says that's not happening. What kind of discussions have you had with him about his future with the program?
Obviously, George is going to coach as long as he wants to coach, and as much fun as he's been having over the last year, I think we can count on him coaching for a while.
Well, he says he's 68, and right now he only has one bad day at a time. But when he has 2 bad days back-to-back, that's when he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, well, George, the thing is, if he loves this game. He loves working with these kids, and so, I expect that he's going to be our coach for a while.
Now, there is a lot of changes coming to the NCAA landscape, and with the Power 5 pretty much gaining what looks like autonomy, how does that affect a school like UCF going forward?
Well, of course, we want to be one of those power programs, and we feel like we got to leverage. Obviously, we're in a great location in Orlando. We've got a great athletic program across the board. You name the sport, we're successful at it. And so for us, it's really just focusing on being the best that we can be, and leveraging the city that we're in, the size of our market, and really the size of our institution, and continuing to build off of that.
All right, well, I'm sure your coach is looking to build off that first half and get things rolling here, and we thank you, Stansberry, for stopping by.
Hey, thank you.
This halftime report is presented by Dave & Buster's, your new football headquarters. The only place to watch the games and play the games.
This is Dick's Sporting Goods Kickoff Week.
Welcome you back to college football, presented by 5 Hour Energy. You're watching the American Athletic Conference on ESPN. That is Trinity College, one of the oldest learning institutions in the Western Hemisphere. Penn State with a lead, 10-3. Sean Galvin will kick it away. Grant Haley and Vaughn Walker are deep as we're ready to start the second half. Haley 3 yards deep. 15, 20, 30. Haley blocking down the sideline. One man to beat and taken down as he crossed midfield. There is a flag down. Jordan Smith saved the touchdown. The preliminary signal is a hold.
During the return, holding, receiving team, number 3, 10-yard penalty, first down.
The hold by Daquan Davis.
Right at the end of the run, you'll see number 3 in white, Davis, working right there on the block. I just don't see the holding. Right side of your screen. Oh, there's the jersey. Yeah, yep. There's the jersey. The pull there. And what's a shame is Davis had control of the UCF player with his left hand. If that right hand just came off and didn't pull that jersey, that was a clean block. But when the official sees that jersey pulled in the right hand, you got to make that call.
Zwinnick will start as the tailback here in the second half, and he gets the ball on the carry. Zach Zwinnick pounding straight forward. Gets out to the 42. Look at the numbers from the first half. 218 passing yards to just 18. Total dominance in that regard, yet UCF appeared to be the more physical team up front on both sides of the ball, but they couldn't get the passing game going at all, and Hackenberg could.
That's been the difference. Early on, it was clear Penn State wanted to continue to try the power run, was not working against this very solid front for UCF, and Hackenberg is looking like the best player on the field, head and shoulders, frankly.
Fakes the pass, gives it to Zwinnick again. So if you want to wear him down, you put your 233-pound back in there and run right at him.
And both of those, the first one was a delayed handoff so that they're not, Penn State is not having to drive the defensive line off the ball. It's more about getting width from right to left instead of pushing them back. That another delayed handoff. We've seen the delay handoff not quite work, or the delayed run down on the goal line, but you're out in the middle of the field, get a little more separation. Defensive line trying to find a seam to get through.
Hamilton goes out as the only wide receiver, 2 tight ends and a blocking back again. And Zwinnick this time on another slow developing play, and there have been several of those in this game, doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage.
It is clear that the weakness for Penn State coming in that most people suspected was the offensive line because of all the graduation. Lost John Herschel, was a first team all Big Ten guard off of last year's team. 2 defensive tackles now starting at guard. Very clear that Penn State's got a ways to go up front. They do like right tackle 59 Adam Nelson, think he's going to be a good player, but this is a group that's going to have to get better if they're going to compete week in and week out within their conference.
They are 6 out of 10 on third down so far. Hackenberg, no pressure at all. Now he rolls out of the pocket and under pressure, throws back against the grain. And it is a catch by James. The UCF players were saying he didn't have it, but the official is the one that counts. He said he did.
Hackenberg getting up a little slow there. Got thrown down to the ground a bit. And that ball, I'm not so sure if that was a catch.
I'm not so sure either. And that's a pass Hackenberg may not want to throw very much. Late over the middle, back against the grain.
And falling backwards with a defender driving him. That's a ball that can come the other way. And he got up a little groggy after he hit the ground. Let's see if his head snaps back on the turf. You could see the defender driving him into the ground. Now, that looked to me like the ground helped secure the catch for Jesse James. Now, they're not going to review this. They called the penalty, but I'm shocked they're not reviewing it. That did not look like a catch to me.
So 1st and 15, Hackenberg again with the short set, and going back to his favorite receiver so far, Deshaun Hamilton. Most of them have been of the very short variety, but he hit one long post play. It's 7 catches for Deshaun Hamilton.
Let's go back and see what happens at the end of the tackle. It looked to me like Hackenberg was getting up a little slow. Does his head, boy, he landed on that right elbow really hard. You see a lot of quarterbacks land on that elbow, and sometimes they'll jam their shoulder. We saw that years ago with Sam Bradford at Oklahoma.
Or they land on it and their arm goes numb momentarily. Zwinnick, nothing. Going to be 3rd and long.
Well, it was like the Nittany Lions adjustment at halftime was, let's go back to the original game plan. Well, that didn't work in the first half, so I'm not sure why you go back to it. I'd stick with Hackenberg. Get some run action in there. You want to go back.
When offensive coordinators talk about sticking with the run, you just can't give up on it and throw the ball all the time.
And a run, even if it doesn't gain yardage, it does make the defense play.
Exactly.
So it's not you don't want to throw it completely out, but obviously not very good for Penn State.
3rd and long here. Hackenberg forced out of the pocket. Throws on the run incomplete. Outstanding defense that time by UCF. They got pressure. They got so much pressure, in fact, that it looked like it was going to be a screen pass, but there was no screen. Everybody just came through.
And Christian Hackenberg clearly is a top-level quarterback, a guy who's going to have all the opportunity in the world to play on Sundays. But he has got to be careful with these fallback throwaways with coverage that tight. We've already seen one interception on a bad throw on tight coverage earlier. But he really has thrown a lot of balls falling away from them into tight coverage. That's awfully risky.
Gula with a pooch punt here. And Wharton's going to let it go. And it will find its way into the end zone and come out to the UCF 20-yard line. Penn State continues to lead by 7. That is the great Oscar Wilde, one of the great humorists of all time. Santa Claus with a Guinness. We know we're in Ireland now.
It's the off season for St. Nick.
Penn State hanging on to that 7-point lead. Let's see if UCF can generate a little offense. And a lot of fans over here from both schools. Excellent crowd today.
Of course, there was a volcano threatening to go off in Iceland, which may have caused us all not to come over here.
DeNovo stays in a quarterback and hands it off for a minimal gain. Let's check in with Janine.
Well, Mike, in a nutshell, the Knights need a big play, and George O'Leary knows it. He told us yesterday this game was probably going to come down to somebody making a big play, and he's still waiting for that to happen. He said we've got to give our quarterback a little bit more time. We need time for him to find the open guy and get something going in the passing game. On the other side of the ball, he said if we don't start tackling, if we keep letting Hackenberg out of our sights and giving them 3rd and shorts, we're not going to be successful.
Well, Giannini's certainly right about the offense. He's got to get something out of the redshirt freshman quarterback, Pete DeNovo. Blitz coming. Steps up, under pressure, down he goes. Excellent job. Zettel was the man who got him, but Naeem Wortman broke up the play and forced him back up into the pocket.
Talented linebacker crew for Penn State. Wortman, a guy who played a ton last year. He's got to slow down. You've got to pump the brakes as you're going in. I'm running free. I'm running free. Oh, yeah, I have to tackle. But luckily, Zettel, the senior, was there to clean it up. Good call, though, by Bob Shoup, the defense coordinator for Penn State. We've seen a bit more of that when Penn State starts on defense, starts coming after UCF. They've gotten through.
3rd and long. DeNovo steps up on this one, throws and knocked away. Outstanding defense. Adrian Amos, the former corner who is now a strong safety, closed on that ball in a hurry and got a hand on it.
And here's where you see DeNovo just doesn't have the strongest arm. He tries to throw this on time, but Amos was a little bit out of position, but was able to turn and make a play on that ball. And you don't see guys with cannons all the time. They have to get the ball out a little early, but that ball just a touch late by DeNovo, and that's what let Amos, a strong safety who was up near the line of scrimmage, drop out and get a hand on it.
Gula will, or UCF will kick it away, excuse me. Houston to Della Valle. And Jesse Della Valle trying to get to the outside, taken down to 41. 7-yard return after a punt of 52. Saturday Night Football, presented by Wells Fargo, has Jameis Winston and top-ranked FSU starting the defense of their title against Oklahoma State in the Cowboys Classic tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC.
I don't see Florida State going unscathed this year. I feel like
it's tough for anybody. Isn't
yeah,
it?
and the target, you know, people are coming after you. Plus the off season, the Jameis Winston Crabgate, everything that happened, it just seems like they're losing their focus a bit.
Hackenberg in the gun. Looks left, right, then back down to the right and left side. And it's a jump ball caught by Hamilton. That's the ball skills you're looking for in a wide receiver. He outjumped the veteran corner Ozerites, who looked like he may have lost track of the ball just momentarily, and that was enough.
And then Hamilton gets tackled. I couldn't tell if Ozerites got his hand up there, but that looked like it should have been a touchdown.
Hackenberg again, this time behind Hamilton.
Hamilton looked like he got tackled by the grass there after he made the catch. But Ozerites had great position on that. He spun the wrong way. Ozerites was in, I thought this was a potential interception, but Hamilton did a nice job, and just his feet got crossed up. Otherwise, he cruises into the end zone. That could be, let's mark that. If they don't score here or just get a field goal, that's a big play that he wasn't able to finish and keep his feet.
Hey, the old turf monster's gotten a lot of people. 2nd and 10. And they just keep calling pass plays. Here comes the blitz, and they shovel it out to Jesse James. He makes the catch, tackled immediately. When you run those blitzes, those zone blitzes, you've always got people underneath to make the tackles on the short passes.
And this is very dangerous. This is about the 4th time we've seen Hackenberg do this. And Jesse James, who's already wearing a sleeve on his right arm, which a lot of times means he might have a bad shoulder, landed on that arm. And as he went off, he was favoring that right side. This is a guy with all of the people that left on offense, especially Allen Robinson at wide receiver. James has been a go-to guy. Looks like he's in a lot of pain.
3rd and long. UCF trying to hold and stay down by only a touchdown. So blitz again, and they come. Hackenberg has to unload early. That's going to be well short to Kyle Carter. And now do you go for the field goal? And it looks like they will.
As poorly as UCF has been playing on offense, I think you kick the 3 to get up by 10 again. I think you're feeling pretty confident that UCF's not going to go on a scoring bench here in the 2nd half.
They expected the tight ends to be the strength of this passing game, and so far they certainly have. The tight ends have combined for 10 catches. This will be a 33-yard try for Sam Ficken, who was already hit from 22. And Ficken 2 for 2 to start the season. And the lead has grown to 10. Penn State giving itself a little bit of a cushion. Big pass, set it up.
But if Hamilton doesn't have the turf monster make the tackle, they have 7 instead of 3 by Ficken.
Behind the rabbit? No, it is the rabbit.
The 2014 Croke Park Classic is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Visit ESPN Fan Shop powered by Dick's Sporting Goods for your officially licensed fan gear. And Jeep Grand Cherokee, the most awarded SUV ever.
The Brazen Head, the oldest pub in Dublin. Of course, it has some competition, doesn't it? Trying to learn American football right now.
Well, you know, with the NFL Europe having so many years over here, and the NFL pushing very hard for international marketing, we're building fan bases for this sport. All international, that's for sure.
Akins, who's had one good return, they could sure use another one. Found a hole and cut it up over the 30. He is just relearning how to play football and trying to get some experience. This is an outstanding athlete who played baseball for 4 years. Let's take a look at this week's top 10 AP rankings brought to you by AT&T. FSU, the national champion, will start against Oklahoma State. Alabama opens with West Virginia, Oregon, and Oklahoma and Ohio State. Other ball clubs thought to be given a chance for a run at a national championship. South Carolina's already suffered a big defeat, and now George O'Leary is going to test his hand with a new quarterback, Justin Holman, who came in at the end of the first half and was trying to throw a Hail Mary. He threw 14 passes last year as a backup for Bortles. He can run, he can throw.
And he, coming out of spring ball, George O'Leary thought Holman was going to be the starter, but DeNovo came in and beat him out during camp. But this was expected. If DeNovo wasn't able to move the team efficiently, we thought that Holman would come in. So not surprised at this stage that UCF is making the change.
Flag is down. It's going to be another penalty. It looked like motion against the Knights.
False start.
Which is not unusual when a new quarterback comes in the ballgame either.
Second down.
Let's check in with Janine.
Well, guys, I caught up with Blake Bortles last week, and he was so grateful for how demanding Coach O'Leary is. And, you know, sometimes that rubs people the wrong way, but he says he expected perfection on and off the field. I had to increase my preparation every facet of the game to keep up with his standards, watching more film, more practice, focused every rep, but it made him the quarterback he is today with the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's playing extremely well. He said, when I got to Jags camp, I didn't miss a beat. And you know what's interesting, though, is that you get the feeling that the UCF coaching staff is still kind of smarting a little bit over losing Blake Bortles.
Well, when they tell you, Janine, you're going to be the third pick in the draft and the first quarterback taken, I don't think there's any decision left. And it's hard for me to imagine how they were surprised by that decision. I think the decision now remains with the Jaguars. He's played so well in preseason, he may be forcing them to reassess their decision on how they're going to use him. Now you see the difference in skill level as Justin Holman rifles that one to J.J. Wharton. I mean, this kid has a big arm as opposed to Pete DeNovo, who is more of a manager as a quarterback and not a passer.
Definitely see more zip on that ball than you saw with DeNovo. And now UCF starting to mix it up a bit. They were starting to rely really heavily on the run. Last 11 plays, they'd run it 9 times. So now maybe get Holman into a rhythm as a thrower.
And even though they're missing Rennell Hall, they've got 3 other guys who can go get it, and he goes for the bomb and caught at the 1. What a throw. He got it down to Perriman, and Perriman grabbed it at the 1-yard line for 50 yards. And if you've got the arm and you can get it there, these guys can pluck it.
And Daquan Davis immediately putting his hands on. There was no reason. Davis should have started cutting underneath of that. Never found the ball. That was a mistake by Davis. If he would have seen it, I think he may have been able to knock it down. But big play by Perriman, who had some big plays last year in those huge wins down the stretch.
Last time they were down here, they tried to run and couldn't do it. Same thing here. Wilson drilled as he got to the line of scrimmage. Zettel just drove him back.
Well, Holman's a good runner, too. That's the one thing they said, that Holman gives them a bit more. If Zettel doesn't make the tackle, the other 3 white shirts standing right next to him do. Good
now, the last
play.
time down here, they waited until 4th down to run a play-action pass. You've got to think they're going to throw it early.
Well, they're coming out in the shotgun spread, so this is what you would expect, or maybe even a quarterback draw.
Holman will run it out of this, and Wilson to the goal line. The official says he was short. It looked like he fell into the end zone after the tackle by Kaiser. They're going to mark it inches short. And it's a good call.
Nice job by Kaiser getting low, coming up from the safety spot. But now
do you run from 6 inches or throw?
Holman, the problem with him has been accuracy, and I would be afraid of an interception here. So inside the 1, I think you're 6 inches. I think you probably run it here if you're UCF, but I think you got to think of going for it on 4th down as well.
You're going to spread it out. Quarterback keeper, which is a great call normally down here, and it is a touchdown, although Penn State says the ball came loose.
Just don't think I like the conservative call there with a new quarterback. Had some accuracy issues in camp, which is why you went with DeNovo as a starter. Breaks the plane, doesn't matter if the ball comes out. It's dead right when he breaks it.
Why let these guys on defense get ahead of steam? Take the snap, go forward.
Yep. Well, and we've seen Penn State when they, Zwinak took that snap, it took him 3 seconds to take his first step.
70 yards in 7 plays, and Holman was 3 out of 3, including the big one, 50 yards, and the rushing touchdown for the score, and we are back to within 3 points. Back to the Croke Park Classic. We're dancing in Dublin.
See the eye black there under those guys? The local paper was making fun of our sport and said that if any of their blokes wore eye black while they were playing a sport, they would roll on the ground laughing at them.
Well, one reason is it's only sunny once every 2 weeks over here. So
it's not quite Florida.
Vaughn Walker and Haley are deep for Sean Galvin, the native Irishman, to kick it off. Haley on the return. Big gap across the 20 to about the 28-yard line. And Penn State will start from there with 2:33 to go third quarter. And Janine Edwards has a report from the sideline. Janine.
Well, guys, you heard how upset James Franklin was at halftime when he told me that they had no communication over their headsets for a big part of the first quarter of this game. Well, offensive coordinator John Donovan was going to call this game from the press box, but he's been down on the field now because he says the phones are not working either. So he would have no way to call down to speak to quarterback Christian Hackenberg. And right now they've still had more issues with the headsets not working, and James Franklin finally took his off.
Thank you, Janine. Mamea makes the tackle from behind, gets Hackenberg for a loss of 9. One of the few times they've been able to really get him down.
Good line movement by UCF, not staying still. You could see the bodies exchanging in the middle of that defensive line, and Mamaya, who Tyson Summers said made huge improvement from last year. And this front for UCF has really been good in the pass rush today. Hackenberg hasn't had much time. When he has, he's been great, but they've been closing the pocket quite a bit.
2nd and 19, and this defense may have been energized by the change in quarterback and the success of their offense.
The offense had about 30 yards of offense up until that point when they made the change. And so when your defense comes back out on the field and they've cut it to 3, you better believe they believe a little more we can win. When your offense is as bad as UCF was for the first half, well, that's an injury to Chris Godwin. They're already down. Excuse me.
That was Jacoby Glenn.
Jacoby Glenn, pardon me.
Outstanding corner, who's on the Thorpe watch list as the best defensive back in the country. Looked like he either has a cramp or he pulled his hamstring. 61 degrees, hard to imagine cramps. Hackenberg, plenty of time. Has a man wide open, throws to Lewis. He was 15 yards behind everybody, and Gino Lewis goes for it, 79 yards on a break in coverage. Did somebody buy the pump fake?
Boy, they sure did. And just, you think of how many reps. If you go all the way through last year, all the way through spring camp, Gino Lewis up top, that was a pump and go. What a great move, and it was the safety in the middle of the field. The corner bid on it, but that safety number 26 Gathers, the guy with 4 years of starting experience, he can't bite on that. The safety just can't bite on that pump.
So Penn State gets its margin back.
This is a little thing, but did you notice how Hackenberg took a little off of that ball when he saw that Gino Lewis was that open? Because the only ball that will not be complete is the overthrow.
That's right. He was going to make sure he got a completion, even if his receiver had to wait for it.
Got caught from behind. Great throw.
Great throw by Hackenberg, and he was way out there. Hackenberg having that right leg worked on. He's been banged around a little bit today, but he hung in the pocket that time and threw a perfect strike.
That's a stretch where you're working on the hip flexor or the quad. You're trying to get some stretch across that quad and into the hip flexor. So,
Ed, he has already thrown for a career high 355 yards today in his first game as a sophomore, 24 out of 35. And he has clearly been the difference in this ballgame.
And all of the long throws today have been the difference. I really like how John Donovan and this staff turned it around and started going into Hackenberg's hand, letting him throw it.
It can be frustrating to watch a team that doesn't make the adjustments you feel they should make. They made them almost instant.
And then they came out in the second half and they went back to the run and they, well, you know what? Let's just go ahead with 14 again.
Akins. Not this time, taken down at the 22-yard line.
Well, the play before, Jacoby Glenn, who was the best corner for UCF, goes off the field with what looked like a hamstring injury, and that was Shaquille Griffin, his backup. I argue the safety should have stayed deeper and not come off, but you could see the Griffin, not as much experience, not as good as Jacoby Glenn, and Geno Lewis makes UCF pay when they're one of their best defenders, and Jacoby Glenn has to go off with an apparent hamstring injury.
So Holman is going to have to do his act again and try to cut into this lead as the new quarterback, and we've got movement up front, and it looked like Austin Johnson was taken across the neutral zone and was offside.
Offside, defense, number 99.
And
Contact with the neutral
Johnson.
Zone. 5-yard penalty, first down.
They're very high on this defensive line, and they think they have a lot of depth in this group too. They're going to rotate 8 guys in and out, so they're fresh at the end of a ball game and they're fresh during the season. First and 5. Play fake. Olanian couldn't bring him down. Throws on the run and throws a bullet complete to the 45, now up to the 50. J.J. Wharton. When you got a quarterback with arm strength, the guy's got some mobility, can throw on a run and drill it like he can.
And here was beautiful. He was looking for Wharton the whole time. He's looking towards Wharton there. Because he has to run away from the coverage, Wharton stays alive. And the arm strength difference between DeNovo and Holman. Holman is, they knew coming in he had the stronger arm. He was dealing with some accuracy issues. He seems to be getting into a flow, but give Wharton credit. Wharton's been really the only guy for UCF here in the second half who seems to be making any plays.
Oh, late hit on Austin Johnson, took 2 steps and drilled him. That's a huge penalty. It takes him down to the 14-yard line. And I don't think it was the severity of the hit. It was the fact that he took 2 full steps and then unloaded. So UCF setting up shop at the 13-yard line. And this is Wilson trying to grind out yardage. It's interesting, we have not seen William Stanback all day long.
At all.
You have to think there might be a minor injury or something like that to keep him out of the ball game.
Stanback was the second leading rusher behind Storm Johnson last year. We knew that we were going to see a lot of Dontravius Wilson after talking to coaches yesterday. But a little surprising Stanback has not played.
End of the 3rd quarter. Penn State by 10, but Central Florida is driving. Been a great day for Hackenberg. This was his biggest play.
Welcome back to Dublin, the Croke Park Classic. UCF down 20-10, but driving. I've seen a lot of football, but I've never seen a bunch of random men with pitchforks fixing it. With me is the pitch manager, Stuart Wilson. What are you guys doing out there?
We're just we're repairing all of the divots at the moment that the players are creating. So we've obviously got to think about the matches being played tomorrow. So we're just repairing the divots, getting the levels back, and making sure that the pitch is okay for tomorrow.
Real quick, they're about to break the huddle. Yeah, I learned something new every day. At least I try to. You made this turf faster for the Americans, like a firm turf course in horse racing.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we still have a fast service for the Gaelic sports, but we'd been speaking to the American guys, and they'd said to us that they'd really need a firm pitch for this. So we've worked hard all week to make this pitch a lot more firmer than we would do for the Gaelic sports.
You weren't responsible for the headphones on Penn State side, were you?
No, I wasn't. No.
He takes no control there. Let's get back to the game. 2010 is turning into a good one.
No sense taking the blame, huh, Kenny? Holman. Running play will pick up about 4 with Dontravius Wilson.
You know, I think this is an important third down for UCF. We're into the fourth quarter, you're down 10. I don't think 3 is going to get it done here. For the way Hackenberg is playing for the other side, I don't think you want a field goal here. This is a chance for you to, I think, take one and throw it into the end zone. You can pick up the first down, but I just don't think if you're UCF, you can get out of here with 3 and think you got a chance to win this game.
Well, this kid can certainly make it whistle. He's already hit on a couple of really tight throws. Throws this slant. That's going to be a first down to the 2.
What a nice throw by Holloman. That slant in this tight of an area, when you're this close to the goal line, all of the bodies that are there, Holman, he caught that ball, and you said it right, it does really whistle out of his hand. And Perryman, whose father played 10 years, Brett Perryman played 10 years in the NFL, now starting to get into the flow a little bit. You can start to see these receivers have a little bounce in their step. And what a turnaround for UCF as Holman has come in, and 100 more yards already of offense.
They really didn't produce much under DeNovo. Trying to get the ball into the end zone. They're inside the 1 with Wilson. When you can see how it opens up the play calling too. You've got Holman in there with his skill set. I mean, no knock on DeNovo. He's very good at what he does, and he's a redshirt freshman playing his first game. But Holman has the edge on him in experience and certainly an arm strength. 2nd and goal. Quarterback keeper, no signal.
Good movement, though. They were just outside a yard. Now they've got it into the, looks like probably 6 or 7 inches from the goal line. So I
wouldn't be surprised. Same play, right?
Absolutely. And I do think you're down 10. The way that Christian Hackenberg, who's been playing, looks like he's the best quarterback in the country. I know it's early, it's just Saturday morning back in the States, but I think you got to think 7 here. So if you don't get it here, if you're UCF, I think you have to go for it on 4th as well.
Well, I think they're only 2 inches away. That's what they'll have to do, and they get up.
Mistake.
Make the snap, and there is a flag down.
Well, and that's a young quarterback mistake. The receivers were breaking the huddle. J.J. Ward was going at the top, and he got excited and called for the snap before the receivers were set. In American tackle football, you have to be set before the snap. One man can be in motion, but because they were breaking the huddle, there was more than one man moving. You can see up top the receivers not set before the snap. So that's a rookie mistake, and it looked like a touchdown.
Now you've turned it into a passing down on 3rd and goal from the 5-yard line.
Well, they threw the slant before to Perryman. Let's look maybe for a you got a bunch formation over to the right. Wouldn't be surprised to see a quick throw to the top.
Perriman's out to the left as he was on the last play when they hit him. There's movement early and another 5. And it was Torian Wilson, the left tackle.
Well, 2 mental errors in a row for UCF. What a bummer if you're a Knight fan. They about to get right back into this game. They
5-yard penalty.
Looked like they scored on 3rd down, but the quarterback made a inexperienced player mistake. Knew they were going to run the quarterback sneak, but you've got receivers out there need to be stepped, and then a guy that's a senior jumps early.
If you've got a guy who can throw like this kid can, you might as well be back at the 10 instead of the 5. You got more room to operate.
That's a good point.
Holman in the shotgun. 4 wide receivers, 3 to the left. He looks left. Guns it. Touchdown. A perfect throw to Josh Reese. Well, the quarterback fight for the starting job was unsettled coming out of camp. May not be unsettled anymore.
A completely different offense that we've seen.
Absolutely.
With Holman in there. Daquan Davis again on the coverage. We saw him give up the long throw earlier, and this time sitting on that shoulder, not coming through the receiver right at the goal line. Looked a little hesitant to me.
Point after cuts it to 3. And UCF back within 3 points with 11:31 to go. 139 yards passing for that young man coming off the bench. Tomorrow night, the heat is on in Atlanta, Georgia. Only 2 NASCAR races left until the playoffs. 43 drivers entered, 16 advance, 2 races to go. The Oral-B USA 500 in Atlanta tomorrow night, 7 Eastern on ESPN, as well as live on Watch ESPN. Pretty good opening ball game. You got to come 4,000 miles from the East Coast to see it. It's worth it. Galvin to kick. Walker and Haley are deep for the Nittany Lions. Haley did some good returns on this side, and he's tripped up as he got to the 30.
You know, Mike, you made mention that it may be better to be back 10 yards, but if you're a defensive back, watch Daquan Davis as he starts the backpedal. He's on his heels. He never gets a good break. You see the little stutter step right there? You've got to be way more aggressive. When they go back, when Penn State goes back and look at this film, they're going to say to Davis, when you get to about the 1, you got to plant and start driving. Because if you don't, Holman did a great job getting rid of the ball on time, good, accurate throw, but that's just way too off of coverage, even at the 10-yard line. For a young guy like Davis, he's got to learn that at some point you've got to put that foot in the ground and start breaking to it. Instead, he shuffled, and it was too late.
Now with 11:26 to go, what does Penn State do on offense? The first thing they do is give it to their 3rd-string running back, Akeel Lynch. They told us they're going to rotate all 3 of these guys. We've seen Dalton and Zwinnick running different roles, and Akeel Lynch is really a combination of both of those runners. He's 6 feet 221, gives you a little power, a little speed.
How much would they love to get a run game going right now? Up 3, 4th quarter, because they can always go back to Hackenberg.
You bet.
If they can get anything going, Penn State's going to start eating some of this clock.
Hackenberg, flat-footed, stands in the pocket, and boy, there was contact on that one. Kyle Chester was banged, and there is a flag down as Brandon Alexander was breaking it up. May have hit him early.
Hey, just don't run it over. Pass interference, defense, number 37, automatic, first down.
It is Brandon Alexander, a walk-on who had started 31 of 38 games in his career. Early.
Yep. Just a touch. Believe it or not, if he was just, because officials are told if you have to guess whether the ball was there first or the defender, don't call it. That was about a half a step where there was no guesswork. Good call.
Automatic first down. Hackenberg with a flanker screen once again gets it to Hamilton, and Hamilton fighting for extra yardage is in UCF territory. Kyle Carter, the tight end, gave him a good block, and Hamilton now has 10 catches on the day.
Hamilton, a guy first game at Penn State, came in as a highly recruited young man out of Virginia. Injured his wrist last year, so was not able to play, but he sure does not look like a first game player. You would think, because he's been in the rotation first string all the way through winter, all the way through spring and summer, as hard as Christian Hackenberg works during their 7-on-7 drills with the coaches away, they've gotten a lot of reps together, very obvious.
Belton is back in as the running back. Hackenberg, good fake there. Now it's being chased, throws and intercepted. Hackenberg trying to throw it late, and Ozerites, excuse me, picked him off. The second interception for Hackenberg.
Bad throw. We've seen a couple. You know, this is about the 4th or 5th throw that Hackenberg has made that he's got to get that out of his system. 1 or 2 a game maybe, but throwing this much into coverage, you're going to pay it off. Second interception for Hackenberg, keeping UCF in the game.
Hackenberg with the pick. The turnover goes to UCF, and the Knights have a shot. Hackenberg today, 25 out of 37, 367 yards. That's a career high total. A touchdown, but 2 big picks, both on throws that were behind his intended receiver. And now Justin Holman, who was coming in the second half and ignited the UCF offense, has a chance to make a difference, but he fumbles the attempted handoff. And not sure if it was a handoff or a fake, and it's Penn State football.
He was going through the zone read, and Holman's eyes got frozen. There were 2 linebackers coming from the right side unblocked, and it looked like he wanted to hold it because it looked like they maybe lose their contain to that side. But because he's riding the running back for so long, just never decided whether to pull it or give it to him.
And that is the quarterback's responsibility. It did, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked like he had it on the ground, and this is reviewable. You're not going to be able to tell. Zettel,
he's still got it.
Yeah, and give credit to Anthony Zettel, who's in there pulling that ball away. But you can review this. It looked to me like maybe the offensive player was down with possession. I'm not sure they would overturn it, but surprised they're not even going to take another look.
So can Penn State take advantage of the break? Belton off the right side, and he is plastered as he picked up about 10. Drilled by Alexander.
Let's go back and see if Holman had possession of this ball.
Instead, it's that run by Belton, and it looks like he was just short of the first down. I don't know if you could say it was definitive.
Yeah, and we'll go back and look at it again, because that's obviously a huge play for UCF to lose that ball there.
2nd and inches. Do you gamble a little bit here with Hackenberg? Yes, you do. Flanker screen. Godwin. He lost it. Will they say he was down, or they'll say it's UCF football? What a series of turnovers, back and forth and back and forth.
We were going to go look at that replay if Holman had it before. Now
we don't have time. We got to look at this turnover. Holy cow. It's out.
It looked like he tucked it away. The question will become, did he have possession? Yep. It was close. That ball was moving, but it was the hit by Earl Clark there at the end that ended up knocking it loose. But that was awfully close to not being possessed by Godwin. I think he did, but this is another play I think they should stop and review, because it was close enough to whether he had possession. I think he did, but shocked that the last 2 fumbles have not been at least reviewed.
Neither one. A delay, nothing, as Zettel is right there to wrap up Dontravius, excuse me, Wilson.
Prior to the play, false start, offense, number 61. 5-yard penalty, first down.
UCF, and they keep shooting themselves in the foot here after they've gotten an opportunity with 9:07 left. 1st and 15 for the Knights. Try to run again. And Penn State has done a great job against the running game since about the first 2 series, when they just decided you're not running anymore.
Though if I were James Franklin, though, and depth is going to be a problem. Of course, they're still under sanctions from the end of the Joe Paterno era. And so they're down scholarships. But this defensive front and these linebackers have played just about every snap today. They have not been able to rotate a lot of bodies. So they've played well, but maybe they'll start to get a few cracks here in the back half of the 4th quarter.
4 wide receiver. Blitz coming. And that pass a little bit behind Josh Reese, and he couldn't hold it.
You know, that's about the 4th or 5th time that we've seen someone slip. Reese slipped coming out of his break. Otherwise, a wonderful throw by Holman. Boy, does he have an arm.
Yes, he
does. That ball gets there in a hurry, and unfortunately for Reese, a guy who's gotten a lot of time with Rennell Hall, who was out today, one of their top receivers from last year with an elbow injury. So, but Reese unfortunately couldn't get out of his break.
That's Pete DeNovo, who started this ball game, the first of his career as a redshirt freshman. He's been replaced in the 2nd half by Holman, who's played very, very well. Holman on the run, throws that ball batted and knocked down.
And this is a touch throw that Holman has to learn. He was trying to get to the receiver who was beyond the sticks for the first. There was a bunch of, there was 2 defenders and another UCF player. And instead of lobbing it, he tried to drill it. You got to lob that one over. That was an easy first down if he just puts a little touch on that throw.
Yeah, really needed a little more air under that one. And sometimes you have if you have a big arm, that's hard to learn. Houston will kick to Della Valley, so they're unable to take care of 2 turnovers in the span of a 3-turnover minute-and-a-half sequence. 42-yard kick, no return. There's been some really good punting in this game as well. ESPN College Football presented by Hampton Hotels, with a pair of terrific matchups for you later today at 5:30 Eastern. Number 16 Clemson against number 12 Georgia. Then at 9, number 14 Wisconsin, number 13 LSU on ESPN.
Wisconsin favored to win the Big Ten West this year. I think has the best running back in the country. We saw Melvin Gordon twice last year. He is a different dude.
He's something.
LSU short. A couple of guys got left behind. Starting cornerback.
Now Penn State would love to work on the clock here. So Zwinnick is back in. And he bowls straight ahead for a couple.
So while Penn State is still ineligible for postseason play and can't win the conference, the new realignment, remember they were the legends and leaders last year, and of course Rutgers and Maryland joined, but I would argue that they really messed this up. I find it hard to believe that Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Michigan State are all in the same division. I still don't see how Michigan, Michigan State weren't put in the West, and Purdue and then Illinois potentially brought to the East. They wanted to protect the Michigan-Ohio State matchup, but boy, that seems like not a very equitable division of the conference.
Hackenberg, flanker screen again to Hamilton. That's covered very well. It's almost like if you're Maryland or Rutgers, it's welcome to the Big Ten. You're going to make a lot of money, and look who you get to play every year.
Well, but at least Maryland then has basketball season to look forward to. Yeah, I was shocked when the Big Ten went from what was a little bit of a PR nightmare with the legends and leaders no one knew, and then of course they added the teams to go to 7-a-side. I was really shocked when I saw that those 4 schools ended up in the same division.
Huge play here, 3rd and 9. Can Penn State keep the ball and keep working on that clock, or does UCF get it back? Almost drew them off sides. Hackenberg, blitz coming. Hackenberg on Lawrence, he's got his man again, tipped and caught. The second try, Lewis got it. What a catch by Geno Lewis.
And it was the safety Geathers who got beat on the last pump and go, and this time Geathers was in position. But Lewis gets a good bump, and again Hackenberg very smartly underthrowing this ball.
Boy, great concentration.
Really was. College football, you don't have to turn and see the ball, so that's not pass interference as long as he didn't get there early. But another excellent job by Hackenberg. You've got a guy wide open. The only thing that's incomplete is an overthrow.
Hackenberg has just gone over the 400-yard mark. Another career high for him. Belton. And right now they are in field goal range, which would give them a 2-score advantage. And that's got to be what you're thinking as a coach, Jess. Or excuse me, they're only up by 3, so obviously a touchdown would give them a 2-score advantage.
But Hackenberg, a guy who clearly works on his craft time and time again. We saw Holman, a guy with not a ton of experience and a good arm, not have a touch throw on the last 3rd down, and that is the 2nd time we've seen Hackenberg when Geno Lewis breaks free. It's a guaranteed incomplete if you overthrow them, so both of those throws nice and underthrown slightly.
2nd and 5, clock continues to run. Belton on the delay. He's got room, but tripped up, and that is a saving tackle by Earl Clark, who just got him by the ankle and kept him just shy of the 1st down.
You couldn't draw it up better if you were Penn State right now.
No.
You really couldn't. You're eating the clock. There's a chance that you could go up 2 scores. And to be honest, if I'm James Franklin, you're only up 3. Even if you don't get it here, I think you've got to consider going for it on 4th, because you only go up 6. Touchdown and an extra point, you lose the ball game. I think you have to at least consider it here if you don't pick up the 1st.
3rd and a yard and a half. Direct snap. Swinnick got the 1st down to the 10. That play developed a little faster than the other times they tried this formation.
Here's the big difference, though. The defensive line in the 4th quarter isn't getting off the blocks the same way it was in the 1st half. And so a play that looked disastrous on the goal line earlier in the game for Penn State, when Zwinnick took that snap and looked like it took about 5 seconds before he took off. Now you can see the hands on the hips. These are big guys. They haven't had much rotation either. There are only 3 defensive tackles they rotate at UCF. And you could, if you're UCF, I think you got to think about a timeout at some point here to get your defense a rest.
Swinnick, another direct snap. Tripped up, picks up a couple. And while all those timeouts are sitting on the sideline, the clock is running.
You're not there where I think you would use it to save clock for your offense, but you're getting awfully close. Now there they go. Good call.
They take the first one with 3:46 to go in the game.
The 2014 Croke Park Classic is presented by 5-Hour Energy Shots and in part by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way.
Trinity College here in Dublin houses the Book of Kells, a copy of the 4 Gospels of the New Testament. And if you want to see people wearing kilts, you're in the right place.
Smart outfitting by those UCF fans.
Have you bought a kilt yet?
No.
No? From the snicker, it sounds like you're not going to.
Probably not. I'll go with slacks.
2nd and goal. Hackenberg back in. Gives to Belton. Belton swallowed up at about the 7-yard line. Will they use their 2nd timeout? And they will. I think it's a great move by the UCF coaching staff. No matter what happens here, you are going to save enough time to operate.
And you are so stuck in a weird place if you're James Franklin right now. Remember going in at half, he said, we want to be aggressive. We tell them to be aggressive. I love the call there to run, because if they're going to use their timeouts, let's get their timeouts gone. But if I'm Penn State, 3 points is going to be very difficult for me to take. I understand you would take it, but that means UCF could go down and win it if they score the PAT.
Coverage of the FIBA Basketball World Cup begins today as Team USA takes the court against Finland in preliminary round action at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN, as well as live on Watch ESPN. Big play coming here, 3rd and goal. This is the down of decision. You make it or you go for the field goal, I think.
Oh, I think they probably will, yeah.
Hackenberg looks to throw. Plenty of time. Now being pressured. Throws to the end zone, tipped, incomplete, looking for Kyle Carter. It's either his tight ends or Deshaun Hamilton.
And now, and there's Hackenberg.
He's
came up a little
limping again.
gimpy, yeah. Look at the end of the play. Well, you can see his left leg,
twisted,
yeah.
didn't he?
Mamea, as he went down, there's a new rule where if a player's in a passing posture, you can't aggressively go in and tackle them unabated. That was not the case there by Mamea, but you can see Hackenberg a little gimpy coming up.
Ficken for the field goal, and he's got it. And Penn State takes the lead 23-17. Only 3.5 minutes to go from Dublin. Hackenberg on the sideline. He limped off after that last series, being tackled trying to throw the ball to the end zone. But Penn State now up by 6.
And great clock work by UCF. They saved a ton of time for their offense. They still have 1 timeout because on 3rd down, Penn State, of course, electing to throw to try to score. So the clock didn't run. So UCF plenty of time and a timeout. But remember, young quarterback still.
And with 3:30, you can basically do anything you want on offense. Aikens, big kick that time.
Well, last year for UCF was magical in many ways. 5 times they had to come back in the 4th quarter, and they had 8 games decided by 7 or less, with the only loss coming to a very good South Carolina team. Of course, went out to Arizona to play in the Fiesta Bowl and beat the heavily favored Baylor Bears. Here they are against what they like to call the big name programs. That's what they call schools like Penn State at UCF, and with another chance for a 4th quarter comeback.
Justin Holman at quarterback, the sophomore out of Snellville, Georgia. He's had such an impact in the second half. Going to give it off to Wilson, and they're certainly not going to abandon the running game.
You said it, Mike. They've got tons of time. There's no reason to. Keep the defensive front honest so that when you do have to throw it, they don't know that it's going to be a pass and can just get into their pass rush and continue to tire them out a little bit.
The other thing I was going to say, maybe you can catch them dropping back looking for the pass and break one for 15 or 20. Penn State shows blitz, and they come. Holman underneath. Nice throw, completes it to Wharton, and Wharton, who was really good after the catch, gets awfully close.
And Charlie Taft there on the right, longtime coach, the offensive coordinator. When he was hired by George O'Leary 4 years ago, UCF was dead last in offense in the country. And they, of course, Blake Bortles helped, but you can see Holman came in, Taft, a guy who was very clear with us. He said, I don't know which guy is a gamer yet. I've got to see him more under game conditions, and I think they may have found a gamer here.
Wharton's good run got them a first down at the 35. Pump fake and a throw. Boy, this kid's got an arm. Beautiful throw and completion to Perriman. And if you're open, he can fit it in there, can't he?
And now if you're James Franklin, you've got to start thinking about the clock as well. 3 timeouts. If UCF scores, gets the extra point, you're down 1, so you'd only need a field goal. So now Penn State with 3 timeouts needs to start considering what to do. Not now, because UCF is not really a scoring threat just yet. But if they get inside the 30, the 25, the 20, you've got to start thinking about those timeouts.
And they're not under any pressure from the clock right now either. Still more than 2 minutes left. Is that an incomplete pass, or was the ball knocked out of his hand by Zettel? He got there.
The referee is saying incomplete now. I think they were waiting to see confirmation.
It was a delayed call. Zettel got a hand up and made a play. And the officials now talking to each other.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Please set the game clock to 1 minute, 57 seconds.
Watch as Zettel gets great rush by Zettel. Good power. Arm was forward, ball was on the palm. That's a good call, incomplete pass.
2nd and 10. Pressure coming. Holman hangs in the pocket and throws incomplete. It looked like his receiver cut up inside and he threw it outside.
Well, you're definitely going to go for it on 4th down here. So if you're UCF, you don't have to call you're going to call something a route beyond the sticks, but you hope that your young quarterback knows we've got 2 downs here. You don't have to get it all here.
Third down and 10 from the Penn State 43-yard line. Nittany Lions by 6. The Knights are driving. Holman floats it down the sideline, intended for Perriman. There was some contact down there, but not enough to pull a flag.
Jordan Lucas doing a nice job. In college football, you don't have to turn and find the ball. You don't have to turn and look, and Lucas did a nice job of not running into the receiver, but he gets big. Watch Lucas as he throws his hands up to get big. He's not making too much contact. UCF. I think that's a good no call. And now UCF. Here it is. Here's the ball game. 4th and 10.
And I think this is a great timeout. You don't have to worry about the clock. If you don't score here, the clock is going to kill you anyway. So get the play you think your quarterback likes the most, your head coach likes the most, your coordinator likes the most, everybody on the same page.
Here's what I would, if I were Charlie Taff, J.J. Wharton would be the guy that I would try to get somewhere in the middle of the field beyond the sticks and let him work it. Wharton is a guy who's got great hands. He shows good field sense, so he's the guy I'd look for. But another guy they've been using is Perriman, so there are some options here.
Pete DeNovo started, really was ineffective in the passing game. Holman came on in the 2nd half, and he has made a difference. 25 plays at the helm. He's generated 2 touchdowns and 174 yards in less than a half. So the ball game's on the line right now.
And if you're Holman, do not be afraid if the Red Sea parts and there's an open, do not be afraid to take off running, because Penn State is going to stay in coverage as long as they have to.
Will they bring pressure? Right now they show a 3-man rush, but they're creeping up as well. They come with 6. Holman hangs in the pocket, throws down the sideline, and the catch made at the 5. Holy cow, what a catch by Reese, and what a throw by Holman. This kid might really be special.
Remember we were talking about the underthrows by Hackenberg? That's a nice underthrow. The coverage is really good. Well, that's actually not an underthrow. That was thrown over the top, over the left outside shoulder. And it was terrific coverage there by Trevor Williams, just a better throw.
He just lost his balance at the end. Now 1st and goal. Quarterback draw. Touchdown, UCF. Are you kidding? I go back to the use of the timeouts earlier when they stopped the clock on 1st and 2nd down when Penn State was in scoring position and saved almost 2 minutes by doing it. And that allowed them to run their offense.
But I wonder if they saved too much. Minute 13, 3 timeouts. Yes. Christian Hackenberg.
All Penn State has is Hackenberg. He's already thrown for over 400 yards.
And they only need a field goal.
If I'm UCF, I'm not worried about saving too much time.
No.
You did what you needed to do. 5 drives by Holman, 3 touchdowns, 9 out of 14 for 204 yards passing. And they're liking him so much, they're beating him up on the sideline. Let's take a look at our sharp performance brought to you by Polaris.
Well, it has been a very sharp performance for Justin Holman. Here, just a wonderful throw. The coverage is there. An excellent play by his receiver to make the play. And then I love the call by Charlie Taff. You know the defense is going to be on their heels there. There's no way they're expecting a quarterback draw.
Because it's the first quarterback draw he's run the entire half.
Yeah, wonderful call. You know, it's out at practice the other day. Whenever almost every football practice you go to, the last practice of the week, the last thing you do is the hurry-up drill. Here's what we have. Well, Penn State, at their last practice here in Ireland, when James Franklin ran out, he said, 1:20 left, 1 timeout, and all we need is a field goal to win. Well, now it's 1:13, 3 timeouts, and a field goal to win. So this is even a better scenario than they ran the other day in practice. And, oh, by the way, they went down on the second team defense, got the field goal for the win.
Haley and Walker on the return. This is Haley. This is where they've returned most of the kickoffs with success up the right side.
Here is the absolute key for Christian Hackenberg with 1:08 left. In college football, the clock stops in so many ways. Out of bounds, incomplete, anything beyond the first down yardage to make stops the clock. But if you get a play where it's going to take 15, 20 seconds to get everyone back to the line of scrimmage, you have to use one of those timeouts. Do not save those timeouts. It's all about saving ticks on the clock at this point.
And it may come down, as it has so many times in his career, to Sam Ficken. He has missed some huge kicks. He has made some huge kicks. But Hackenberg has at least got to get him in range. 4-man rush, good protection. Hackenberg underneath, intended for Kyle Carter. He was double teamed, had the ball knocked away. Dominique Spencer was there, dropping back from his linebacker spot.
Good tight coverage. This defense for UCF.
I'll bet you one thing: nobody bites on a double move with 1:03 left. They've been starched.
You don't
by
think
that
Geno Lewis is going to get behind him again?
I don't think so. Second down for Hackenberg, directing traffic. Quick out, complete. That'll be shy of a first down, though, as Geno Lewis makes the catch underneath. Picks up about 7, so a big third down here with now 59 seconds left.
UCF okay with that playing off enough to allow that reception. Not too concerned about an 8-yard gain at this point.
No huddle, trying to catch that UCF defense short, but they line up well. And Hackenberg, deep throw. Tried to get Lewis deep. Much better coverage on him that time, and now it will be 4th and 3. Ozerites was not about to bite on that one.
First game for Tyson Summers as a defensive coordinator. He was the interim defensive coordinator in the Fiesta Bowl win, but wasn't named the full-time defensive coordinator until spring ball. Pretty good effort so far, but if I'm him, I would be telling my linebackers, watch a draw or a run, because the first down is the key here for Penn State.
Another play with a ball game on the line. Penn State must keep its drive alive to have a chance. Hackenberg, he's going to take off. And Hackenberg will have the first down.
Wonderful choice. I would think about, let's see how fast they get this off. 44 seconds. Clock will start here. Oh, that's too much time. They should have taken a timeout there.
Hackenberg shovels it to Belton. Belton trying to get out of bounds. Stays on his feet as long as he can. He's in UCF territory, but only 27 seconds to go.
After the first down, it took almost 10 seconds to get that snap, because once the chains were set, they didn't have to go very far. It started too soon. It seems like a small thing, but Penn State should have taken a timeout. They could have saved 8 seconds, which is 2 plays from scrimmage potentially that they just lost.
Sam Ficken hoping for an opportunity. Hackenberg burning some time here under pressure. Throws. The catch made at the 37-yard line. Clock continues.
Oh, you got to get a timeout. Oh,
Penn
this is bad.
3.
Well, wait a minute. Why is the clock
First charge.
They did call the timeout.
Timeout.
There you go. Boy, that was, as that clock started to burn, I thought, are they not going to get a timeout? Felt that they should have got one before, but still, look at the time that has burned off this clock. Let's go back to when Hackenberg picked up the first down on that 4th. when he took off running. So when the play is over, remember, the clock stops momentarily right there, 44 seconds. If you get up and call that timeout and watch, all of a sudden the clock will start again because they didn't have to move the chains very far. They're still getting the play. They're still lining up. Eight seconds. And it's because you're so low on time and you have those 3 timeouts, you just have to take one there.
A terrific catch with the ball being juggled.
And then 20 seconds, and they don't get the timeout until 17 seconds left. So Penn State has, in my opinion, wasted 11 seconds in the last two plays, and that could end up making the difference.
And right now they are on the outer edge of Ficken's range as a field goal kicker. Hackenberg with time. Quick out to Lewis. Lewis breaks a tackle. Lewis inside the 20 is going to be driven out of bounds with 9 seconds left. I don't think you can risk running another play. You got to go for the field goal.
If anything, just slide to the middle of the field and take a knee. Do not try anything here that could end up with a tipped ball or anything. I think this is just get it right. And because, yeah, I think Franklin's right. He's saying the ball was out of bounds. That looked to me. And that's what Franklin was mad about. Although I'm not sure anything was lost here. I'm not sure you'd have done anything but center the ball.
The line to gain was ruled
and Franklin is confused, as I am, why they wound the clock.
Charge timeout, Penn State. This is their second charge timeout.
I don't see how they can. Unless they blew the whistle before he went out of bounds.
Well, he's going backwards. So
he's going backwards, so it's not out of bounds by rule.
And what the Penn State sideline, though, saw was the official on that side did call timeout, which he's supposed to kill it, but then he wound it once they said that it's forward progress. So that was the right piece of officiating, but I don't think it mattered because you're still going to get Ficken at the end.
Sam Ficken has been in this situation so many times. He has been hero and he has been GOAT. He's hit from 22, 24, and 33. This is 36 yards to win it. And he got it. Sam Ficken is the hero today. 4 field goals. 2 years ago, he missed 5 in one game against Virginia, including a chip shot that would have won it. How's that for a turnaround and redemption? And how's that for your first game to win it in this manner?
Helps to have number 14 on your side when you get the job at Penn State.
Huge win for Penn State. Let's go down to Janine.
I need the camera, guys. Coach, he's running after his kicker, guys. They're embracing. Sam Ficken saves the day. Here I am, Coach. We have seen it all now. We have seen it all. You're playing in a foreign country. You had no headsets. Your offensive coordinator had to call the game from the field. What's it like to win this game your first time with the Nittany Lions?
I'm just so happy for our players. I'm so happy for our fans.
Your quarterback set a new single-game passing record today. A young, inexperienced offensive line. What did you learn about your offense and your quarterback in particular in this game?
It wasn't pretty. We turned the ball over. We made penalties. But when we made plays when we had to, I'm so happy for Ficken.
You have a long plane ride back. You're going to be on a plane for about 10 hours. I know you're going to be watching tape of this game. When you watch this game back, what's going to stand out?
I just want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy it with our guys. I don't know what the flight regulations are, but we're going to be partying all the way back to the United States.
I hope I'm on your plane, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What a way to start the season, huh?
Yeah, and you know, James Franklin was getting emotional there, and I can see why.
Sure
you think about what has gone on at Penn State. Franklin's a guy from the state of Pennsylvania. Everybody was embarrassed about what happened at the Joe Paterno, the end of his tenure there, and all of a sudden you've got this energy of this young coaching staff and James Franklin. I can see why he would get emotional with this big win.
And this game was to be a reward for how hard they played and how well they had done, and the reward pays off. Now let's go back down to the field to Janine.
I'm with Sam Ficken, who made that game-winning kick. Sam, you're a senior. You were voted a captain this year. They said you deserve to be captain because you, more than anybody on this Nittany Lions team, has handled the highs and the lows of playing for Penn State. What are you feeling right now?
It's been unbelievable, you know, to come out here and be able to win it for the guys. You know, that was a team effort all the way. You know, I couldn't be happier for our team, all the work we put in all year long. And I got this guy here.
I love Vic. I love. Take me through that last couple of minutes of the game.
Emotional high and low. You know, we were up 6 there, and then they had a good drive of their own. You know, we were able to punch one in. You know, the whole time, my concept is if we pass the 40, I'm going to go warm up. So I knew if I had an opportunity, luckily they got it down there, set it up perfectly, good snap, good hold, good team win.
Your coach said it's going to be a fun plane ride home. What are you expecting?
I don't know. I'm happy for the teammates, really. You know, this is the best start of the season I can.
I think he was joking, but you guys will enjoy it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Janine, thank you so much. Terrific game. We've had a wonderful trip to Dublin, Ireland, and it paid off today. Hope you enjoyed ESPN College Football in the morning. Our final score, Penn State 26, Central Florida 24. Coming up, Sports Center.